Boom. Live chat. What is up, dudes? You love me so much. Love you a long time. Oh, yeah. Do you know who Swamp Dweller is? I've heard of him. Pretty cool dude. New phone, who dis? Dis is a streamer. Hey, Salad, long time no see. What's up, dudes? Can you do simple, normal stories? Let's read. Are the other ones I read too complicated? What's the deal? What do I do on Twitch? It's just this live stream, but over on Twitch. Just another way to get notifications in case the YouTube one doesn't come through, or to expand the audience in case someone randomly finds me on Twitch. Maybe, probably not, I guess. You burped in an episode when the story was pretty serious. I died IRL at work. That's funny. Burp. Hey, Galactic Bitch, what the hell? Where you been? I was just thinking about you. Manifested you. He's so dedicated to y'all when the stream time, even if you're literally in the middle of a conversation. Yeah. Gotta get the show on the road. 9:30 turns into 11 p.m. pretty fast. I just feel like time flies by so quick, you know what I mean? Making a dragon while I listen tonight. That's dope. How are you making a dragon? Are you training it? You're raising it from an egg? My boss's birthday is coming up and he loves you. You can say happy birthday to him. His name is Chris. Happy birthday, Chris. Here's to 60 more. How long do you record a day a week? So 2 episodes a week. Each recording seems to take like 4 hours. But I've taken on other projects as well, which is going to definitely take up more of my time here soon. But we shall see. But I'll keep you updated too. Passing out soon. Ooh, woo. You've always been my best narrator to listen to. Thank you. Mr. Nightmare is the reason I'm here. Well, thank you, Mr. Nightmare. Thank you for suggesting my video on your video. It's trickle down narration. How do you have the patience to record for 4 hours? You see it. I'm here. Every stream. And I don't necessarily have the patience per se. That's why the stream honestly just breaks up the monotony of recording. Even though obviously I could get the recording done a lot faster, it's nice to like chat with you guys and do something else. What's up, Mr. KW Jones? I'm a veteran with bad insomnia, and I love your content, especially Skinwalker, Private Eye, Forest Ranger, and Don't Go in the Woods stories. Your narration skills are superb. Thank you, dude. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Greetings from New York. It's your birthday, too. Happy birthday, fuck you. That's his name, don't worry. What are you going to do for your B-Day? For money or what you aspire to do with your life? Maybe both. Maybe both, honestly. Can't talk about too much right now, but should be exciting. You make every story so scary. That's what I aspire to do, you know? I really just want to spook everybody out. Just want to say the only thing that helps me fall asleep. I appreciate you. You're welcome. What's up, Chili? You're a female. Oh, I'm sorry. Happy female birthday. And what does a girl do in New York? New York City or where Sasquatch lives out in the woods? How am I? I'm good, honestly. I'm just cruising. We got Scary Exes, upstate New York. Oh, dude, I remember like helping with like this camp in upstate New York a couple years ago, and like there was these things I think called black flies, And they were like these flies that would just like try to jump in your face nonstop. And man, we had to wear like nets on our heads. It was so terrible. Can you talk about your other projects? Currently no, but as soon as I got more details on it, I will officially give you the rundown. Do you have insurance for your voice? I should, honestly. Create like an archive somewhere with the perfect AI. Honestly, I guess in some weird ways, all of this data that exists on YouTube can probably at some point when AI is like really, really good, which probably isn't that far away, create the absolute replica of my voice and my personality, which is weird to think about. Like, I really do wonder if, like, aside from just like voices and the art and all that kind of stuff with AI, like if they've have taught things how to have personalities similar to a person. Listening from Arizona, really like your stories. You got me hooked. Thank you. Scary Arkansas. Arkansas is a very overlooked state, it seems like. I'm when I'm thinking about Arkansas, the only thing I can assume is there's probably tornadoes, maybe. Dun, 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 dun. Healthy diet tips. Just eat foods that are like limited ingredients, you know what I mean? Like if you look at the back of the label of a thing and it has like science words on it, don't eat that or drink it. Just eat like simple stuff like eggs and meat and vegetables and fruit. Stuff that doesn't make you, like if you ever eat a food and it makes you have like a runny nose, don't eat that. Or it makes you feel bloated, don't eat that, because it's probably causing inflammation in your gutty works, which will probably turn into cancer later on. How does YouTube allow your name? Dicklet Cumbucket? Oh, of course, because you come from a long line of cumbuckets. It's a British name. Damn. I got some like random ass tinnitus in my ear out of nowhere for some reason. My mom always had a rule that if you can't pronounce the ingredients, you probably shouldn't eat it. It's smart. It definitely makes you feel better. Also, I need to find like a really effective way to like clean out my ears. But I've seen like those videos of people who go in and get their ears cleaned out, and it's just like this. It's like pretty much like a bug living in there from how much shit they pull out. And I just like, what doctors even have that available? Is it like a specific eyes, ears, and nose doctor that does that? Fuck, man. I've had like a weird semi-sore throat the past couple days. And I don't think it's getting worse, but it's like just really like odd. Ears, nose, and throat doctor. Okay. Can you get a shout out? What's up, peeper? You can just stop at the urgent care and get them to flush your ears out. Okay. Just flush them out. That's all you need to do. It'd be nice to get like an official, like someone getting in there with a nice little scraper. I can just get it done at my regular GP surgery. Oh, okay. Have you seen the ear flush thing gnarly work? Yeah, is it like effective? Or I feel like just flushing stuff out, unless it's like detached, it won't really grab anything. Unless it's like supposed to dry it out first and then pull it out. Sarah R with the 21 months to say, I'm excited to be approaching my second year. Been around way longer. That's crazy. Thank you, Sarah. I do need to do some bonus content here soon, honestly. Also, I don't think I got enough water. I might have to run up before we start to get more water. It costs money here, though. You can't get it in the NHS. Yeah, I guess it sounds like a cosmetic style thing. Saying hey from Liverpool, England. Keep up the good work, mate. Thank you, Ali. A regular old scouse. I want to see my... Oh, did you know Michael... Did we talk about this before? Michael Myers is from Liverpool, or at least his dad is. Pretty neat. I went to an OGBYN about my ears and she said she deals with other holes. That's funny. David, thank you for the 1. Do you drink beer? I don't, no. I mean, I might here and there, but I'm not, like, doing it independently. I think alcohol, even like 2 drinks a week, apparently, even if it's just casual, is like really, really bad for you. Michael Myers from Halloween, yeah. That's where his family's from. That's where they got all the stabby. I notice you keep the episodes generally similar to you use keywords to search for relative submissions. What was it? You keep the episodes what? Generally similar. Do you use keywords to search for relative submissions? Yeah, usually. I try to stick to a theme per episode. Apple cider vinegar? Good stuff. Back in the 90s, I knew a guy who went to a homeopathic doctor who cleaned his ears with something like wax. Pulls out a huge plugs. Yeah, it was like the heat of a candle or something? I don't even know. You should do the new voice of the Twilight Zone. Say this. You're traveling through another dimension. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. Imagine this, if you will. Probably also have tea with honey and lemon to help your throat. It's important when you do content and stuff like this. I don't know where you're at, but the weather's being dry, windy, pollen. I know, dude. It's so bad. Honestly, nowadays it's just, you want to be in the Twilight Zone, just make your own. Make your own on YouTube. It really seems like a scouse bed, laying in bed with a fat joint ready for a story. Hell yeah, dude. Get ready. Light up the fatty. I'll leave this music on real quick, but I'm gonna grab some more water. I totally did not fill it all the way up. Yippee! High quality H2O. I also finished my Batman Diamond painting tonight, Joe. I wanted you to see it finished, so I sent you an invite on IG to chat. Oh, sorry, just tag me. Or you can, send it to email or something like that. That's probably easier. Whatever's easiest. Is everyone eating their vegetables? Ew, no, dude, that's gross. They're bad for you. Let me make sure my mic is cleared out. Yeah, we're good. Oh, we still got this in the background. Oh, that's fine. Good to change it up. Kind of looks like a spring photo of sorts. Vegetables in this economy? What we should be eating is dirt pies. Okay, so I sort of forget where I can find new music. I apologize. I kind of want to put on a new song, like a new background thing. Unless you guys like this one. I don't know if it gets repetitive for you guys. Eggs in this economy? Bro, tell them to stop killing all the fucking chickens. That's the issue. Spooky season? No. Where the hell am I? I don't even know where to to look. Who's up creeping the cast right now? The Creepcast. That'd be fun to go on there at one point. Do they? I feel bad. I don't even know what they do on there. Do they just talk about stuff, or do they read stories? All right, dudes. They read creepypastas. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I would love to if they ever wanted to. If they ever needed a special guest, I'd love to promote them, etc., etc. Christine Hartline, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. They read No Sleep and creepypasta. That's cool. I wonder if the No Sleep podcast would ever have them on. You're a Let's Read fan and my partner's a Creepcast fan. We need this. Ah, perfect. Make a baby. Quick. You should launch ebook with read along for kids. Stay true to the name of Let's Read. I mean, that would be kind of interesting. An ebook or something. Something creepy. Queepy. Alright, dudes, we got creepy exes. Exes and hexes. No Sleep podcast collabing on Wendigo and Papa Meat. That'd be interesting. Get it done, baby. Alright. I remember it was a Tuesday night almost 10 years ago now when my phone lit up with the text message that changed my life. It was just after 9 p.m. and I was lying on the couch watching a bit of television when I got a message notification from an unknown caller. Curious, I grabbed my phone, then felt a slight rush of adrenaline when I saw who the message was from. It simply said, "Hiya, Sean. Is this still your number? It's Laura from Leeds." A few years earlier, Laura and I had dated for around 6 months, and while at first it was a lot of fun, it didn't last. She was beautiful, intelligent, and successful, but she was also intense. Very intense. I always find passion to be very attractive, but Laura was unhealthily and rigidly. Aster Rybach, thank you for the 2. Appreciate you, dude. Thinking about doing a podcast of Scandinavian true crime, but in English, just don't know if people would be interested in it. Yeah, you never know if people will be interested in it till, you do it. But if you do it, try to go all out with it, make a YouTube channel, make a podcast, do the clips, all that kind of shit. Maybe incorporate visual elements such as yourself or whatever. And I guess if it is Scandinavian, it might be kind of important to try it. Like maybe do both episodes, both from like in the language from that area for your people, but also to hit the English audience. It's like Reebok, not Rybach. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Reebok. Love you too. I always find passion to be very attractive, but Laura was unhealthily. Why does that sound odd? I always find passion to be very attractive, but Laura was unhealthily and rigidly fixated on self-improvement. It wasn't the healing your past traumas variety either. It was the maximizing your potential kind, and while I often agree with things she said about self-discipline and radical ownership, she sometimes took things way too far. I think the best example would be her reaction to me giving a homeless fella a few quid while we were out on a date. We'd both had a few drinks and it was proper freezing outside, so I gave him a few coins to get himself a cup of tea or something. Laura didn't say anything at first, but when I asked why she was giving me the cold shoulder then, she launched into some speech about how pathetic homeless people were, how they should learn to help themselves, and how I was an idiot for giving him money because he was only going to spend it on drink or drugs. I only gave him a few quid. Cool whip. Red flag. I know, if you're on a date with someone and they give money to a homeless person, That is kind of a red flag. Because, like, what's going to happen next? They're just going to give all your money away to charity or some shit? What if Let's Read was called Let's Freak? And we freaking read a story. I suppose that was the beginning. Oh, yeah, whoops. I only gave him a few quid to get coffee on a cold night, and I know she was a bit drunk, but I thought Laura exhibited a serious overreaction to what amounted to an innocent gesture of kindness. And I suppose that was the beginning of the end, and as her work schedule got busier and busier over the weeks that followed, we started to drift apart. It was her that ended things, and while I'll confess to being upset for a few days, I quickly realized that I was better off without her. I deleted her number, got on with my life, and then jumped back into the dating pool when I felt like I was ready. But a lack of success turned into a major drought, and by the time Laura texted me, text me. How am I? I am good, honestly. One day at a time. Well, honestly, not even one day at a time. Sometimes I feel like I'm existing like 1 week at a time anymore. I don't quite know why, but time just seems to like blaze on past. Even if you get up early, it's like the day still just zoomies. But lack of success turned into a major drought, and by the time Laura texted me, I hadn't been on a date in almost 8 months. I remember staring at my phone screen, reading Laura's text over and over with my thumb frozen over the screen. I remember staring at my phone screen, reading Laura's text over and over with my thumb frozen over the keys, when suddenly, I heard a voice in my head. I mean, not literally, of course, I'm not mental. I just told myself, don't do it. I know it's tempting, but don't do it, mate. Laura wasn't bad news exactly, but she'd always been a lot to handle, and I'd feel like a right wanker if I made the same bloody mistake all over again. But still, my love life was a complete non-event, and as curiosity tugged at me, I found myself drafting a reply. I typed something out and then rewrote it about 4 or 5 times until it read as neutral and nonchalant as possible. "Hey, good to hear from you, what's up?" it said. And her reply arrived in mere minutes. "I'll be honest," she wrote. "I didn't give us a real chance the first time around. I wasn't ready for a relationship, but I am now. I think about you a lot. Those months. Oh, British. What's a wanker? I think a wanker is like a type of British snack or something. It's like a cream snack. It's kind of like a dairy-based, like a shot of really thick cream. They take it in like a little cup or something. Sip it back. I don't know why they take it like that. I think it's after tea and biscuits. I think it's after shit and flubbies. They have their midday shit and flubbies and throw back a wanker. You thought it was a reference to a person? No, it's like a sweet treat for them. Those months were some of the best I've had with anyone. If you're not up for it, I get it, but the offer is still on the table. I must have read it 3 or 4 times just to make sure that I wasn't making some kind of mistake. I even went back to check it actually said Laura in her original message because this didn't seem like her at all. The Laura that I knew was distant, preoccupied, her head at work and her foot halfway out the door. This was raw, honest, a little bit vulnerable too, and it knocked me over. And I mulled over it for a minute or two, and the longer I did, I felt the idea winning me over more and more. You see, she wasn't wrong. The first few months with her had been phenomenal, and half my frustration came from her putting in zero effort when we had great chemistry. But now, if she was ready to put the time in, then maybe, just maybe I owed it to myself to find out if she was for real. We swapped a few more messages, talking the whole thing out a little more. Then, once I was satisfied that she seemed genuine, I asked her out for what I described as a second first date. We agreed to meet that Sunday at this new Middle Eastern place that I've been wanting to try, and since the following day was a bank holiday I lied. I would never lie. I just might not know sometimes. And I don't want to seem like I don't know things, so what better to do than just make stuff up? Hey, Mega, what's up, dude? Liz is here. How do you sleep at night, then? Oh, like a fucking baby, dude. Like a little baby whose diaper is filled with gross, disgusting 3-day-old dried shit. Please, someone come change me. Does anyone ever recognize your voice? Just the police, pretty much, is it. We agreed to meet that Sunday at this new Middle Eastern place that I've been wanting to try, and since the following day was a bank holiday Monday, we could afford to stay up late on what would normally be a school night. That Sunday, I got to the restaurant a little bit early, so I stood outside, hands shoved in my pockets, just sort of watching the street. It was very early May, so I wasn't too chilly in just a shirt and jeans, and I was content to wait outside till Laura turned up. But 5 minutes passed, and then 10, and by the time quarter past, I thought there was going to be a number after that. Who does your amazing animations? That is Mr. Robin Mikalsen. Actually British. Actually fucking British. Can you phonetically type out a Manchester sentence? I just want to see what you type out. I just dumped a dude I dated for 3 months because he lied about being a Navy SEAL and many other things. Dude's word or advice don't lie. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that, but lying about a Navy SEAL is like the coolest thing to do ever. Just like, I don't know why. That's just like the most, like if ever there was an insane person, it would be the guy who's just like, yeah, fucking Navy SEAL, dude. Of course I am. Who's gonna check? How's she gonna know? You're a Navy manatee. Yeah, how come they didn't include all the other aquatic life? The Navy dolphins, the Navy pufferfish. What about a gravy seal? Do you think maybe he accidentally said that? That's what he meant? And you just misheard him and you broke up with him for no reason? Personal paranormal stories? Different stuff, I guess. It's hard to say. But 5 minutes passed, and then 10, and by the time quarter past ticked by, I started thinking that she'd changed her mind. I checked my phone and saw that I didn't have any texts or missed calls from her, and then I felt this sort of mix of relief and annoyance wash over me as I thought, classic Laura, big promises, no delivery. But then, just as I was about to text her, she appeared, hurrying around the corner with her heels clicking against the pavement, and she looked stunning. A brunette when we dated, but her now sandy blonde hair was swept back, and she wore a black dress that clung to her like it was custom made. She'd always been slim. She went to the gym 3 times a week when we dated, but now she looked like she could have been a fitness instructor. She looked lean and strong, like she'd been sculpted. And as she got closer, she apologized for being late and mentioned how Pilates had run over and then finished with, "You look good." And I must have blushed at that comment, probably at the way she looked too, but her compliment finished me off. I thanked her, and she gave me a little satisfied smile, and then we walked inside the restaurant, and I kind of felt like I'd won the lottery. Dinner was even better than I'd hoped. The lamb koftas were the best I'd eaten in years, and they made all their pita fresh in the store, and they somehow produced Alright. Some people just like to circle jerk about food, but that's fine, I don't mind it. A tabbouleh. I'm an uncultured swine, I've not had it. Tabbouleh. Tabbouleh. What's up, Michelle? Tabbouleh. It's a trebuchet that shoots tabbouleh. My fake Navy SEAL listens to this, so I hope he's listening. Damn, you met him in the chat. Mon Bleu. But why lie about that, though? I mean, what was impressive about lying about something as... I don't even know, like, when someone says they're a Navy SEAL, I don't even know if I'm impressed anymore. I feel like everybody and their uncle is a fucking Navy SEAL nowadays. Most people now just go to Navy SEAL training so they can sell, like, underwear and, you know, some sort of green powder on their podcast or whatever. You're very droll. What's droll? Does that mean I'm drooling? Some people just like to lie. I suppose that's true. It does feel pretty good sometimes. The lamb koftas were the best I'd eaten in years, and they made all their pita fresh in store, and they somehow produced a tabbouleh that cut through all that grease with just one tangy forkful. Oh, I'm sorry, I really enjoyed the food. It was just the best memory I had that night. And their kitchen might have been halal, but their bar wasn't, and our Iranian waiter gave us such good service that we'd polished off 3 bottles of wine by the time the dessert menus came. Laura was different too. She laughed more, she listened when I talked, and then asked questions like she meant it. The old Laura would have been glued to her phone or trying to steer every conversation back towards work or maximizing potential. But that Sunday night, she brought up work just one time, and then immediately stopped herself when she did a sort of, "Nope, not doing that. No work talk, just us." And I liked that Laura. I liked her a lot, and if that was how she was approaching dating, then I was there for it. We worked our way through 6 small plates, shared 2 mains and a dessert, and then polished off a 3rd bottle of wine while the place cleared out. When the bill landed, it was a steep 190 quid, minus the tip, but considering what an amazing time we'd had, it seemed well worth the money. Laura reached for her bag and then paused. "I've got a confession," she said, and I smiled, saying, "Don't tell me. The old 'I've forgotten my purse' gag, right?" And she didn't laugh and responded, "No, it's not that, it's something else." And the mood suddenly shifted. I leaned back in my chair and waited for her to speak, and she seemed to take a deep breath and then started back up. When Laura had decided that she was ready to start dating again, she tried the apps. She met a guy, he seemed great, but then after a few weeks he changed. He got jealous, controlling, and it wasn't long before she feared physical abuse. Laura explained that she ended things a few months back, but he wouldn't leave her alone, and over the previous few weeks, he'd been showing up outside her flat late at night. "Sometimes I see him across the street just standing there," she said. "And it's gotten worse lately. I'm scared." I told her how sorry I was and asked if she'd contacted the police. And she had, but since the guy hadn't broken any laws yet, there was really nothing they could do. Once she'd explained, Laura hesitated and then looked at me, saying, "Would you come back to my place? Just for a drink, just to make sure he's not waiting. I'd feel better with you there. And I should have said no. Even with all that wine having firmly gone to my head, the warning voice was back, louder this time, yelling at me to walk away. But Laura looked genuinely shaken, so I thought that I would have been a real mingy. A real mingy man. A real mingy minge. Where do you send stories? You can send them to letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. When I do my girl voice. Yeah, do I do the girl voice good? I mean, I'm not even really trying to do a girl voice per se. It's like I'm just like softening the... I think if I can hit the tone, even if it doesn't sound like a girl, I think that's a success. Minjagoo. The Minjagoo. Or anyone who knows the answer, what is the transition sound that you have in your videos between stories? It sounds like a slow riser, and it's what brings me back to your videos. Really? Yeah, people really like that one. I do have it. Let me see if I can find it. Project. I've said it. Oh yeah. So it's called. I'm gonna copy and paste it. Or wait. Rename, and I'll copy that instead. Copy. I'm gonna paste it in chat just so this is the official spot where you can see. I don't know if this would exist on YouTube or anywhere, but it was. I'm trying to remember, it was on some stock site, but it's just called ES Dark Element 2 SFX Producer. I don't know. Probably be hard to find. What was it on? There was like a popular website a while back for like stock stuff. I feel like every YouTuber had used it. Yellow bar? No. You have some stuff to send you. Once told about my uncle that works in the sewers. Oh, that'd be pretty good. Were there people down there? See, that would be really interesting. Envato? No, I think that's primarily video, isn't it? But sadly, no, not there. It was like another one. Once I hear it, I'll know. Chuds. Maybe it's Chuds. I don't know. But Laura looked genuinely shaken, so I thought it would have been real bloody mingy of me to just ditch her and go home. Plus, I'll admit that I wasn't quite ready to end the night just yet, and a few more drinks at her place sounded perfect. After I agreed, Laura gave me a relieved smile, and then we called a taxi. We asked the waiter if we could wait inside for the cab, and since we'd spent nearly 200 quid, he gave us some leeway. About 10 minutes later, it's kind of a weird term. I'll just call it a carrier? I don't really know. Yeah, not Shutterstock. Hey, Oxy, what's up, dude? Welcome back. What are you doing? About 10 minutes later, a black carrier pulled up, just a plain van with tinted passenger windows, and then as we walked outside, the driver slid the larger passenger door open with a smile. He told us the people carrier was the only free car that they had left, but promised no extra charge for the larger vehicle. I thanked him for the consideration, then followed Laura into the middle row of seating before he slid the door closed behind us. We carried on chatting as the driver got the people carrier moving, and I remember how Laura leaned into me as we made small talk. Her arm brushed against mine. I let it happen and felt the familiar rush of a date having gone well. I felt relaxed but excited at the same time, with the wine making everything soft around the edges. And then I heard it. It was a sound coming from the seat behind me. A soft rustle like someone moving. And I turned my head, but before I could see it, something snapped around my neck and then pulled so tight it bit into my skin. I grabbed at it, my fingers scrabbling, my lungs seizing up, and my vision absolutely was swimming, and then blurred, and that's when everything went dark. I woke up coughing, my throat burning, and as I tried to speak, I realized my mouth was stuffed with a rag that tasted like oil and sweat. I tried to open my eyes, but I couldn't. A blindfold pressed against them, tied so tight that it dug into my temples. I then tried to move my arms and legs, but found my wrists and ankles had been bound with plastic zip ties that cut off the circulation. I felt the panic wash over me. I thrashed and kicked, trying to scream through that gag, but a voice, very low and gravelly from what I remember, suddenly growled from behind me. "Move again, and you're dead." I kept fighting, jerking my shoulders and twisting my wrists until the ties felt like they were slicing into my skin. And then suddenly, the pressure around my throat returned. I gasped for air, but nothing filled my lungs, and then I remember seeing those white sparks in the darkness behind my blindfold, as Laura's voice suddenly cut through the background noise. "Stop fighting it, Sean," she said, calm. "It'll hurt less if you just let it happen." And her words hit me like a punch in the gut. My brain was stalling, refusing to connect the dots for a second before it finally hit me. Laura was doing this to me. I stopped fighting, not because I wanted to, but because if I had any shot at surviving, I had to wait, and I had to think. I then remember slumping back into the seat, breathing hard through my nose and just sort of listening. The van rumbled on forever. Every bump jolted my spine, every turn made my stomach turn, and I tried to count the minutes, to listen out for anything that might give me a clue as to who'd taken me or where I'd been taken, but fear was absolutely scrambling my brain. My hands went numb from the ties being so tight, and the gag kept me from swallowing right, meaning spit pulled in my throat and made me gag every so often as well. Laura didn't say another word, and no one did. There was just the low hum of the engine and the outside traffic, and then the occasional sound of the man behind me clearing his throat. When the van stopped, the door next to me slid open, and I suddenly felt 2 pairs of gloved hands wrench me from my seat. They dragged me out, my bare feet hitting the gravel that stabbed into my soles, and I stumbled, but they didn't let me fall as 2 of them, maybe 3, kept on dragging me forward. The gravel turned into grass, and then I heard twigs snapping and the air changed. It felt damp and heavy. I could smell pine and dirt and a faint trace of smoke. My legs shook, but the men kept dragging me along. One of them had this... Oops. Syngoniums are a type of houseplant. That's cool. Those are the ones that eat, you can feed them full grapes and give them an entire vine of grapes. And they love them. I wonder if you were to water a plant with juice, grape, if you just squished a bunch of grapes into grape juice. Your voice is soothing, thank you. Yeah, oh yeah, Gatorade, that makes sense. Honestly, it's probably what plants crave, right? Yeah. You water yours with piss? Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would be too bad for a plant. I feel like it would figure out how to siphon off all the urine and whatnot. The urea. The urethra. Eggshells will help plants. Moss balls like occasional carbonated water as a treat. What about a tall boy? I think a urea or a uranium or whatever plant you were talking about probably wants that. Or you could water them with tears. My legs shook, but the men kept dragging me along. One of them had his thumb dug into the flesh just above my collarbone. Blown? Fucking Christ. Fucking Christ. Wart. My legs shook, but the men kept dragging me along. One of them had his thumb dug into the flesh just above my collarbone. And I think it was one of those pressure point holds I've heard about, but my God, I didn't know anything could hurt so much. I was dragged for 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then suddenly we stopped. Grass brushed against my feet again, and dead silence fell. There was no breeze, no birds, just the sound of my own. Damn. Zam. My throat's starting to go. You scream at the plants, it's called tough love. Grow, you little pussies, grow! Get big, my pretties, get big! Eat my brother! Eat him alive! They actually say speaking to your plants helps them grow. Like screaming? Or just like annoying them with like a dream that you had? You were there, plant. You were in my dream. Grass brushed my feet again, and dead silence filled the air. There was no breeze, no birds, just the sound of my own ragged breaths. And I stood still for a few moments, and then all of a sudden, they began lifting me into the air. My stomach dropped as I went airborne, and then I felt wood under my feet as they set me on some kind of platform. It creaked under my weight as they shoved me back against a pole, rough and splintered, and tied me to it with ropes that scraped against my skin. Then came the knives. I felt cold metal sliding against my chest, and I began to scream against the gag again. I thought they were going to cut my heart out or something, but then suddenly, I heard the sound of fabric tearing as they cut my shirt away. The jeans went next, and I felt a cold sting that made me flinch as a blade nicked my thigh. They didn't stop until I was completely naked, and I could feel the night air on almost every inch of my skin. Then I started to hear the sound of something clacking below me. It sounded like wood, shifting and stacking, heavy objects hitting the ground as men grunted and strained. After that, my gag was pulled out, and the blindfold was removed. My eyes watered, adjusting to the bright light of flaming torches, and that's when I saw where I was. My knees buckled. I was in some kind of clearing, one that looked as if it were deep in the forest, and to my absolute, horrified disbelief, I saw I was surrounded by a crowd of figures in hooded robes. Faces were hidden behind masks, smooth and featureless like these blank slates, and some held torches, the flames spitting and crackling as they cast jagged shadows across the trees. The men beneath me, the ones I've been dragged by, appeared to be wearing tactical gear. They wore black uniforms and masks and had guns holstered on their hips as they stacked wood under the platform. Suddenly, anus wide shut, yeah. That's what we got here. Sam, thank you for the $2.79 Canadian. Appreciate you. I didn't miss one earlier, did I? No? I don't think so. Okay, cool. He is about to be sacrificed to Baal. Do you think the old god named Baal, do you think he balls out? Do you think he plays street ball? He's good at the finger roll. A comet falls from a weird, awkward farmer, touches it, begins to spout greens. Who remembers that? I do. That was Stephen King played in the movie. Don't ruin it. I know what it is. Damn it. I literally, yeah. But Stephen King is the actor, and the movie is called Creepshow. Yes, that's a good one. You ruined it. It's okay. That's what I was arriving at. I was keeping my eyes closed so I could think of it. But Stephen King sucks balls. He went crazy. That's whatever, man. I don't even care. Sometimes you gotta like figure out how to separate the fart from the fartist. I don't know if his new stuff is any good, but if it's good, then who cares what he says, I guess. And that goes for both sides, honestly. And that goes for all three sides. Stephen King's obsessed with that asteroid. He is kind of obsessed with asteroids, it seems like. He got an asteroid there, which he probably wrote that story in Creepshow. And then he had the asteroid obviously in It. But then he had an asteroid in, like, that movie about, where there was, like, a field, where they, like, parked, and then there was a field across the way, and then you get lost in the field and basically get stuck in there forever or something like that. And then it's always, like, some ambiguous thing related to, like, Native Americans or whatever, just so that nobody can ask any questions. Which is understandable, because you can't write, like, every backstory to everything ever. I mean, I guess you technically could, but then it would require you essentially creating an entire, like, world, both past and present, the way, like, Tolkien did or something like that. Azazel with the 2 says $2 to make you holla. Don't save the voice. Don't save the voice. In the tall grass. Have you seen Interstellar? I have, yeah. It's been a little bit. Just keep the politics to yourself as a celebrity. I don't need to know Stephen King's opinion on everything or be lectured by him. It's true. No, I feel you, man. I agree, even though I say some stupid shit on here too. But I try to stay, like, neutral, I guess. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're just silly vibrations that come out of my mouth that have zero meaning. But it is annoying to be, like, talked down to. I think those vibrations are the most annoying vibrations. Guys, make sure you think this way. And if you don't think this way, you're nana no good bad. You go time out. Sick of celebrity bullshit. Nah, I feel you, man. I think they all say... It's like some weird mix of, like... Hollywood's like a weird mix of, like, you gotta say the right things so you can keep having jobs. Which is strange, because then it's like, who owns Hollywood? But then I think there's, based on all the Diddy stuff and the Epstein stuff we've seen, I think there's a lot of blackmail over there as well. So the individuals that are blackmailed so that they could go higher in their career are also terrified that if they deviate, that blackmail will come out and they'll just be like the next fall guy, or I don't know, they'll be killed or something like that. It's a sad reality. You probably have to understand that it probably doesn't just stop at Diddy as far as, like, blackmail goes, or like all of those weird type of things. Not Jackie Chan, thank you for the gifter too. Galactic Bitch, you now have access to bonus content. Sam with the 279 Canadian. Say meow meow meow. I love the Sam. Meow meow meow. They have freedom of consequence. Yeah, essentially, because if you're surrounded by criminals, everybody's going to cover for the other criminals or whatever. Until it eventually, you get selected to be like the sacrifice just to, like, keep the population off of all of their asses. They're going to sacrifice you just as like a pressure release valve, you know what I mean? To make them think that was where it all ends or whatever. Or sometimes it's like a narrative thing, in the news. You kind of need something to talk about for a little while to distract from something else. So you sacrifice somebody to just get them talking about that for months at a time. Kamala Harris would always have Doritos in her little videos. Oh, that's kind of interesting. That actually is kind of interesting. I wonder if she had to, like, put hashtag sponsored and all of it. I worked at a court and I feel like I should have creepy stories, and I have some, but they're so short because I never really saw the convicts more than once or twice. Well, I feel like you would, if you were familiar with what they did, that would be like where the creepy stuff truly is. My voice is keeping the dogs and pets sitting calm with the storm. Oh, that's cute. Give them kisses. I love puppies. No, idolization is the way to go. I agree too. I mean, like, honestly, at the end of the day, like at what point did we as a culture just suddenly decide that the people that are better at entertaining us and distracting us from things deserve like more attention than others? You know what I mean? Like, it's quite odd. Like, if we were all just like cavemen, and then that caveman who told the story around the fire was like so good at making you believe the story, you know, that same caveman is just as susceptible to like getting eaten by a panther as all the other cavemen. Doesn't make him any cooler. My voice silenced your dogs. Silence, puppies. Sit. Shake. Roll over. It's a recent phenomenon. Interesting. I had a prisoner in cuffs flirt with me in front of the whole court and ask me if I'm legal and I'm emotionally available, and blew me a kiss. He was taken away. He was beheaded right there. It's a job. We can enjoy and admire what we do, but have more self-respect than believing celebrities are somehow better than us. Yeah, that's true. It's like a self-respect thing. Like, you have to understand that you are, in many ways, honestly, more free than the celebrity. The celebrity probably like envies a normal life at times, probably. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't give a shit. What if he was really good at avoiding getting eaten by panthers? Then you should praise him and clean his dirty caveman toes with your mouth. Suddenly, one of them appeared holding a hefty-looking... Oh wait, the beneath me, the hips... Yeah, we'll start back up there. Brother! The men beneath me, the ones I'd been dragged by, appeared to be wearing tactical gear. They wore black uniforms, masks, and had guns holstered on their hips as they stacked wood under the platform. Suddenly, one of them appeared holding a hefty-looking jerry can. He walked up to the stack of wood beneath me, tipped it up, and then started pouring petrol all over it. It soaked the wood. As the sharp chemical stench hit my nose almost immediately, another can followed, and then a third. That disgusting-smelling liquid glugging out as it soaked the pile of logs and sticks, and it was like some waking nightmare that I was in. I tried to shout, but my voice cracked and was barely audible. I could hardly get any words out, but still I begged them to stop as the fumes started to irritate my nose and face and throat. The men in black uniforms didn't even look up. They just carried on with what they were doing. I pulled at the ropes, the pole digging into my back, but I couldn't move. The petrol kept flowing, the pile beneath me growing dark and slick, and the smell so thick in the air that I could actually taste it. A figure stepped forward from the crowd holding one of those flaming torches above their head. The others silently parted, watching reverently. Who are those tactical guys in the story, and why is this guy having this happen again? Because this is a first date. This is what you do on first dates. You light them on fire. Shaun of the Dead. I think so. The others silently parted, watching reverently as... Am I saying that right? Reverently? Reverently. Why is it hard to say? Reverently. Shaun of the Dead should have gotten a sequel. It was one of my favorite zombie films of all time. I mean, it still stands to this day as one of my favorites. Just because, I don't know, it's just paced so well. The cinematography is so good. There's really nothing like negative to say about it. What's up, Katie? House Pradeep. He's good. He is. I don't know if he's here. He is here. He's laying behind me. The others silently parted, watching irreverently. Jesus Christ. The others silently parted, watching reverently as the figure advanced. Their robes and the way they moved gave the impression that they were gliding towards me. They wore a hood like the rest, but their mask was different. It was dark, almost slate-colored, but unlike the others, it was decorated with strange pale symbols I didn't recognize. And just after stepping away from the crowd, he stopped, turned, and then began to address them in a language I didn't understand. I'm not soft either. I know the likes of French. Soft? What is soft? Is that like not knowing languages is soft? Hot Fuzz was a fantastic follow-up. Yeah, I don't remember liking Hot Fuzz as much for some reason. I think it was funny, but I don't remember it being as good. And then the one, I think it was Paul or something like that with like the alien. I thought that was not that great. And then eventually they kind of just, I guess, what's his name? Nick Frost, which is a funny name. I think he's going to be Hagrid in the new Harry Potter, whenever that comes out. And then the other one was in Star Trek. He was also the dad in The Boys, and I really didn't like how they used, he was Stewie, old Stewie, or not Stewie, Huey, Huey. He was Huey's dad, and I just thought whatever storyline they had with that was just like the dumbest shit ever. Man, that show has gone downhill fast. Nick Frost was in 2 amazing horror films lately, Black Cab and Crazy House. He was in Black Cab. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else. I haven't seen those. Simon Pegg was also the fat alien in the beginning of Force Awakens. That's awesome. Do you know that Logan Paul and his family have a new reality show on Max? That's cool. Is it interesting or not so much? Huey in the comic was literally based on Simon Pegg, like it was actual likeness. Oh, that's kind of cool. Disappointing how mid The Boys got. Well, not to spoil it, but like there's this part where, can I spoil it, like a little bit of it real quick just to talk about it? Rant. Well, there's this part where like the dad's in the hospital and he suddenly has like V in his blood, right? And he's going around like basically like going through walls and turning people into mush, and there's just like chaos going on, and somehow there's no security or something. I don't even know. It's just like really weird. There's like no response. And then somehow he's able to get, like Huey is able to get his dad down to an area where he then has like supplies to like inject his dad with like more chemicals via his blood. But then even just like how the V got into him was like Huey's like dumb mom was like, "Oh, I thought you want me to do that, Huey. I thought you want me to do that, Huey." And it's like, no. Well, then how did you even know what to do? How did you know like how to like hook up like a drip of like experimental superhero drug? And then he's like caused a muck and killed like 13 people to that point in the hospital. They end up in this like basement area where they then kill him off or whatever, which kills Simon Pegg's character. And then literally the next scene is like Huey and the blonde chick who got terrible like plastic surgery, just like they're all like walking together, kind of like almost like they were planning on doing like an AT&T commercial that same day, like as a crossover. But they're just like eating ice cream. They're like, you never told me how good this ice cream was. It's like you're just lost your dad. And like the most horrific possible way, and you're just like casually like sucking on sweet treats right now. It just... And then at one point, like, somebody's like, yeah. It's like a, you know, like the most epitome generic, like anti-abortion character you could ever, like their like take on politics in that show is just like so cringe because it's like so generically superficial. It has like no nuanced concepts at all, but it's just like a dude, yeah, you had abortion, and then like, you know, Huey's character's like, shut up, dummy. And it's like, bro, you're the one that literally got multiple people killed in a hospital because you wanted to save your dad. I don't know. I was just like, I just assume that there's not the same writers writing these scenes, that there's no cohesive amount of like logical thought to any of it. Sam with the $14. Thank you, Sam. Shout out to my art page, Facebook, The Mystics Paintbrush. Well, shout out to that. Go check out The Mystics Paintbrush on Facebook. They went over top the last season. It sucked. I don't know what the fuck they were doing, man. It was... Unpopular opinion, you should not be getting work done as an actor. Yeah, no, I don't... I mean, that literally, like... I could not see anything else whenever that... Like, why did they... There should be something in your contract for that blonde girl. I forget her name, but, like, she was beautiful. She was a beautiful person. And some, like, I can only assume, like, some sort of, like, weird erosion of the mind that occurs only within Hollywood convinced her that she was, like, not good looking or something. And so they're like, you know what we should do? Let's stretch all of your skin back so... See, I feel bad even saying it because it's, like, such a fucking sad... Such a sad thing, but it's just like, holy shit, dude. It's like an alien wearing a skin suit of all this shit right now, and I just don't know how, like, her agent or anybody along that line was like, yeah, you should get some work done. That's a great idea. You don't look completely the opposite of what you did before, and it's not insanely obvious to everyone watching the show. It's just weird, man. Fully supporting anyone's choice to modify their body in any way, but that doesn't mean it doesn't fucking baffle me why some people want to look that. I mean, especially if it interferes with the continuity of like a multi-million-dollar project. I think somebody in there needed to be responsible to like step in and be like, hey, before you go in there and have someone like chop up your face with a lawnmower, I'm thinking maybe we hold off and see if we get renewed for season 5 first, and then you can go and fucking turn yourself into a Halloween store decoration. I don't know, man. This is bad. Yeah, we're talking about the movie Ghost where they do pottery. That's what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, I almost feel like that would make more sense if they replaced her with a different actress, because at least then you're like, can forgive it. But they're like, we're going to make you look like a different actress. I don't know. I know the likes of French... Oh, wait. Yeah, what did this mean about being soft? And I'm not daft either. I know the likes of French, Spanish, or German when I hear them. And I'm a big fan of Korean horror and old Hong Kong action movies. I'm no language expert, but I've got a good ear for them, and this sounded like nothing I've ever heard before. The words rolled out, sharp and rhythmic, and every so often the crowd responded in short, barking chants that echoed through the trees. And once they'd finished speaking, the masked figure turned to me, then raised the flaming torch high above their head. The flame was dancing. Orange. The flame was dancing, and then from about 10 feet away, they started walking towards me. At 8 feet, the crowd's chanting grew louder and louder as I thrashed harder. The ropes were tearing at my wrists, making them slick and sore with these bloody abrasions that were forming. And at 6 feet, I could feel the heat of the torch brushing on my skin. I screamed, a raw animal sound as I squirmed against the wooden pole. At 4 feet, the flames filled my vision as the crowd was... At 4 feet, the flames filled my vision as the crowd began howling, and I completely lost it. I screamed, I sobbed, and I begged, my words descending into just some frantic gibberish as snot and tears were streaming down my face. I did and said things that I didn't even know I was capable of, promised things I could never deliver, verbally debasing myself in ways I'll never forgive myself for. I prayed they'd listen to me. I begged them to see reason, but the crowd's chanting only got louder and louder until I could barely hear myself scream. I watched in horror as the masked figure closed the gap between us, gradually lowering the torch until it was just a meter or so from the petrol-soaked pyre. Another few seconds and I'd be engulfed in flames, choking on smoke, feeling my skin begin to blister and blacken. Yet just as it looked like the figure was going to drop the torch into that pyre, they raised it back up into the air again, and the crowd behind them went quiet. I froze, staring silently at the flaming torch as the figure took a few steps backwards. Then, after a few seconds of silence, they let it fall to the ground, pulled up their robes slightly, and then stamped out the flames with the sole of a long black boot. My head spun as the embers hissed into nothingness, and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think properly. I wanted to be relieved, but I couldn't, because I might not have avoided a fiery fate, merely delayed it. But the next thing I know, one of the tactical guys climbed up onto the platform, his boots thumping on the wood behind me. He slipped the blindfold back over my eyes, stuffed the gag back into my mouth, and then cut the ropes which bound me to the pole. My arms dropped, useless and numb from the bleh. The bleh. The bleh. Bleh, bleh. Peanut butter chocolate chips? Damn, that sounds good. So is this a hazing or what? It sounds like it. Yeah, if he wasn't soft, does that mean he had an erection this whole time this was happening? Sounds like an AI story. What does constant... Like, I see people say that a lot now that AI is, like, sort of in the picture. But what does... Honestly, I want to know, like, psychologically, what does constitute in your mind as, like, an AI story? Because I guess I wouldn't be able to tell if someone did send in a story that was, like, used using AI. Or at least, like, very overtly. I mean, I've heard, obviously the story's a little insane, but it's interesting. But objectively speaking, I wouldn't necessarily know when a story was, like, blatantly written with AI. They say that about stories they don't like. I mean, that makes more sense. AI stories seem to read like a novel. Oh, that's fair too, yeah. The soft voice you use to read comments would be great for reading erotica. I keep that in mind. I can only tell if an AI voice because they slip up and say those things weird. Well, yeah, AI voice makes sense. There's a big craze about it in the art community. An artist was bullied off of Twitter for being falsely accused of using AI because they had some mistakes in their art. Right, so I can imagine, like, it's kind of like a witch's, like a witch hunt to a degree. If you accuse someone of being whatever when it's incorrect. Oh, right, yeah, if AI is based on, like, other people's stuff, too, how do you even tell? But, I mean, there are certain things, like, maybe, I don't really know what that would be, to be honest. Whenever I had tried to use ChatGPT during the stream to, like, remember, I don't know if you guys remember, we did a stream where I was like, let's try to write a scary story, and it would always just try to write, like, a stupid, like, it was a dark and stormy night, like, ghost story like that, so it didn't seem like it was very creative. Wait, Llama Arts uses Let's Read stories all the time? What? No, they don't. I feel like Llama Arts would have said something to me if they used my stuff. Llama Arts. That can't be right? 2 months ago. Oh, they only do 1-minute videos. Maybe you're thinking of somebody else. Llama Art should put out more shit, though. I feel like it wouldn't be that hard for how simple the animations look. Oh, Jackie Chan, you were the one that mentioned about the Half-Life game, right? Zero, or was it Half-Life Protocol or Half-Life something? Anyways, I was playing a little bit of it, and it's actually really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Like, the fact that you can have a squad that, like, follows you around, you can do orders, and they kind of, like, they take cover and stuff, and I don't know, it's been neat. They've been making animations of your stories for years. I feel like they would have tagged me in, or like somebody would have, because Llama Arts I think is like one of the more normal animation things, like actually has like a reputation. I'm gonna go back, but I mean, they don't put out a lot of content, is what I'm trying to say. So like I would have to go back pretty far. 2 years ago? Let's see. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't know. If you see one, I think they do. I think they actually use their own voice, to be honest with you, or like a friend's, because that doesn't sound like a narrator I know. Yeah, I don't think they do. Llama's like more, not like. Llama like actually, you know what I mean? Like has a reputation because of Mr. Nightmare and all that kind of stuff. So like. He probably wouldn't just like willy-nilly use people's voices the way some like low-effort animation channels would. My arms dropped, useless and numb from the full-body terror I was experiencing, and then I was dragged from the platform. My legs wouldn't hold me as I touched the ground, and I stumbled and fell. Then the men hauled me up, their hand. My legs wouldn't hold me as I touched the ground. I stumbled and fell, then the men hauled me up. It took ages before my legs could hold my weight again, but I think I only walked for about 4 or 5 minutes before I once again heard the sound of a van door sliding open. They bound my wrists and ankles, threw me in, and then after the door slammed behind me, the van got moving. I just remember being curled up and shivering, all the hope having drained out of me. I was convinced that I was going to die, that there was no chance of escape. So you can imagine the disbelief I felt when they suddenly stopped the van, cut the bindings on my ankles, and then pulled me onto the road. I hit the ground. The dirt and rocks were scraping my knees, and then I heard the sound of the van peeling away. I was convinced someone else was about to grab me and haul me to another. We are so back, baby. Did you already talk about the Hegseth leaks? I'm curious to hear what he says about that. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, so there was talk about, you'll have to fill me in, honestly. I feel like I haven't gotten any sort of updates. So there was talk about going to war with Yemen, which I thought they were already at war with Yemen. Was it Yemen? Or am I thinking of it as if it's another place? I thought like Obama was already conducting like a drone strike operation in Yemen for like a long ass time. So I thought that was already like a war theater that had been going on. And then they were saying like, well, if we're gonna do it, we gotta, I don't even know, like, I thought Yemen was wiped off the map. Maybe I'm thinking of somewhere else. Yeah, war sucks. I mean, it seems like we just kind of like pick random spots in North Africa and just like whatever place surrounds Israel and just goes to town. They were talking about raids on Houthis blocking shipping in Yemen in a signal chat with a lefty journo who got mistakenly added to the group. Interesting. Well, maybe the leaks will actually lead to like them not doing the operation or something like that. How would that journalist be like left into like such a high... I feel like discussions of that nature should only pass through like the fucking Pentagon. Like, that's really weird. We got to invite a random reporter into our group chat and never ask who anyone in the chat is. That is really, it's like really random. Yeah, one imposter. Like, did they do it on purpose? Did someone in there do it because they themselves are like compromised, or they themselves like wanted it to get out? Which I think would be a good thing, because I don't want any more war. I'm like fucking pretty burnt out from like endless fucking just blowing people up forever. I mean, I guess I don't do it necessarily, but I just really wish that human suffering in this world, we could kind of cut that out. They're just not that smart. Maybe. It just seems like such a strange mistake, you know? I don't know. I guess that's a good point. Like, nobody in the government is really that intelligent, even like the high-end ones. Isn't Congress supposed to approve wars? It seems like they bypass Congress and all of that kind of shit anyways. I don't quite know how that works, like how they get funding or what the workaround is to like not have to like get approval from Congress. But at the end of the day, all the fucking spending bills that they seem to sort of cohesively agree on for like trillions of dollars, which usually just goes to these defense contractors anyways, it seems that they would probably vote in favor of war anyways. It's not technically war. Okay, what would it be described as? Like proxy wars or something? It's strange to believe that it was just a silly little oopsie. I mean, well, let's see what the consequences are, and maybe you can work backwards, I guess, if we actually believe that there was like some 4D chess thing, because now that we know, what's the consequences? We think they're incompetent, we think our eyes are looking at Yemen, and now there might be like students and all those people like protesting, like maybe all the Palestinian protester type people will be protesting a war in Yemen, so maybe that won't happen. It's like mobilizing them in some weird way. I don't know. How does a one-sided conversation feel like? You know, it's weird. It's like sometimes I forget that I'm like just talking to myself. I mean, I'm sure it looks strange to like Pradeep, just me talking here, but I feel in a weird way reading your stuff is sort of like getting actual feedback, but maybe I'm just so like conditioned to like staring at text messages. They would protest anything else, like how nobody talks about Sudan. Yeah, I mean, there's I just remember like it was like during Bush Jr. we had Iraq and Afghanistan, right? But then after that, like under Obama, we expanded out our we expanded all of our war theaters to like most of North Africa and like additional Middle Eastern countries, like 5 additional war theaters. Nobody ever talks about that, you know? Everybody pretends Obama was like this like do-goody, but like he was just as bad as the rest of them in the bomb, you know, as far as military operations go. And you know, I think they're all just part of the same team, probably. Yeah, like remember we were talking about what's his name, Elon Musk, essentially being like a cardboard cutout, fake sort of front man, essentially, for a bunch of like DARPA R&D projects. We talked about that last time, but I was also like thinking it was really strange because like JD Vance is also like was very heavily supported by like Peter Thiel, and like Peter Thiel is also like directly connected to the InQtel stuff with the venture capitalist arm of the CIA, and as well as that like Palantir AI and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, if JD Vance is like CIA adjacent, and fucking Elon Musk is like DARPA adjacent / CIA, like what does that make Trump? You know what I mean? What does that make all of them? Like, I'm sure, it doesn't really seem like there are that many layers of separation between them and some sort of all-encompassing. Yeah, I mean, it's like fun to say Nazis or whatever. Like, I'm sure people feel like they're accomplishing something, but I think it's bigger than that. Like, unless you mean like the literal ones from like 1939 or whatever, but like I actually think something very strange, very, very strange is going on. And I think this whole culture war is just like kind of like part of it to distract us from whatever it is. Wart. Yeah, I don't know. Half the wars are covered. The Civil War was over a family feud that gained sides. Literally the last medieval action made. What are you talking about? Nothing is what it seems ever. I mean, I can't imagine it would be. I mean, it just seems like way too convenient, half the things that have occurred, as a result of this like kind of amplification of the like left-right divide, you know what I mean? Like, as far as amplifying censorship, amplifying social division, amplifying like poor decisions from each side politically. But they always seem unified on like military spending, which is interesting. And they were definitively unified on like the approach to COVID, which was, printing 30% of our dollars, mass inflation, all that kind of shit. And then also, what came. Because for the longest time I thought you were possibly a Trumper, and it broke me a little. No, I mean, like, I'm definitely not left, but I'm definitely not right at the same time. I think it's like, I get why people are left and right. Like, I understand it. It's like a part of their identity. Like, they see like, oh, I'm this ethnicity, or I'm this, sexuality, or I'm this kind of thing. So like, I have to protect myself, right? It's in my quote unquote best interests to, vote for said party or whatever. But at the same time, I think just those, they're such base generic issues. I mean, they're important to talk about, important to discuss. But I mean, like, the fear mongering behind it on each side is just like so annoying. And honestly, a lot of the times, like, it's just, they use that system to their advantage by like swinging the pendulum this far this way, and then swinging the pendulum back and forth this way. And then you just continuously get like poor decisions. And, people, especially on like the domestic side, are just unable to get along at Thanksgiving. And that's like a really important thing. Like, if you really want to like break down a country, you start with their family unit, and you have to divide them through like probably some social issues that really, at the end of the day, do you think like arguing with your uncle is gonna like advance your cause or whatever, or like make a difference in the world? Probably not, you know what I mean? So I've arrived at this position where like there are just military intelligence agencies way outside of our perspective that like we have no idea are influencing every aspect of our thoughts and perceptions of like the Overton window of discussion. And there's really, really no point in existing in anything other than like a certain sense of self-peace, and treating others well, because otherwise, by thinking that you're winning a battle, you're actually losing a battle in a lot of weird ways. Please read. Okay. I hit the ground, dirt and rocks scraping my knees, and then heard the sound of the van peeling away. I was convinced someone else was about to grab me and haul me to my feet, but after a few moments of complete silence, I pulled up my blindfold, and I saw I was alone. I was on a dirt road in what looked like the middle of nowhere, No houses, no cars, just empty fields all around me. My wrists were still zip-tied, and I was still completely naked, but I could walk. I got to my feet, every joint screaming, and started on down the road. I'd never been so cold in my entire life, and it was like the wind was cutting through me, but I kept moving. One step, then another, slowly but surely, praying that I wouldn't die of hypothermia before I found help. My feet were raw, bleeding from those rocks and cuts when I finally spotted a cottage in the distance. It was a quaint little place with a thatched roof like something you might see on a postcard, and there was me, burping up a storm. The Blue Man Group. I stopped talking politics with my family and friends, back to the old don't talk about who you vote for mentality my grandpa had. Yeah, and that's totally fine too, you know? And if someone wants to knock you for that and be a jerk about it, then fuck them, you know? Not that you have to say that to them, but just whatever, dude. Like, if someone wants to exist in a nonstop sense of like unpeace, of just like internal turmoil at every step of the way of their life, then let them be that, you know? Like, let them know, like, hey, I don't think that's healthy for you, but, you know, that's their choice. And, you know, there's really nobody worse than the person who says, like, if you're not with me, you're against me, which is a lot of, like, the political jargon that you see nowadays, and it's fucking cringe. It was a quaint little place with a thatched roof, like something you might see on a postcard. But then there was me, staggering up the path, completely naked. It was absolutely surreal. I staggered to the door and pounded on it with weak but desperate fists. A middle-aged woman in a bathrobe answered, and the second she laid eyes on me, she started screaming like a friggin' banshee. Her eyes charged her husband. Oops. You've never been on a date this bad? Then you've never gone on with a real woman. The real question is what scares me. Bears, sharks, alligators, and crocodiles. Chucky, if he was real, is scary. But also like the little dolls from, I don't think it was, oh yeah, Tales from the Hood, where all like the souls of the slaves went into those little dolls and then started eating that guy at the end. That was very scary. Imagine being eaten by a bunch of little slave dolls. No thanks. No thanks. Woody Woodpecker. Chucky is adorable. He wasn't in the early ones, dude. Like, they kind of made him more likable as like the series went on, like kind of made it like borderline comedy. But like early on, when Chucky was very vindictive and angry, that's when I saw it as a kid. I saw it back when Chucky was scary. Now he's kind of like a lovable stuffed animal who just so happens to like burn people alive with corrosive acid and knives. We need more slashers. We should get back to the slasher genre, honestly. Just some sort of monster flicks. And cultured. Yeah. I've seen a movie or two. Women with braces. That is terrifying. Art the Clown. Yeah, I guess there is Art the Clown. I'm not a big Art the Clown fan, honestly. I find them kind of annoying. And I was kind of annoyed that like his movie series or whatever it's called, Killer, Murderer, Man, like all three of those, I haven't seen the third one, but everyone acts like it was like the greatest practical effects they'd ever seen. And I'm like, bro, have you ever seen any movie from the 80s or 90s? That was like all they ever used ever was just like practical effects and like I don't know. Best part about Child's Play was when the old lady in the elevator was like, ugly doll, and Chucky was like, fuck you. That's funny. Yeah, I think one of the scarier parts was like early on when like the dad, I think he like falls off of like the wooden steps, he like trips or something, and then like right before he sees Chucky, like, hey, dickhead, or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, Chucky like hits something, and then the dude falls like just enough to like snap his neck. And I don't know why, whenever I was younger, like that, was that Child's Play 2? There was something about that scene that was just like, holy shit. I don't know why, like snapping your neck like that, like just like casually to, like that became another fear of mine. I listen to your videos a lot while working. When I'm gaming or something, I listen to your live or old lives. Nice to listen to stories and your opinions you have. Hey, thanks, Fusion. Appreciate you, dude. I hope you're having a good life, you know? What's the worst way to die? Probably stuck in like a cave. Well, I don't know. I thought about that. Like being stuck in a cave would really suck. Just like screaming. You know, I always thought, like, what if like a lot of the technology that we have right now is just like so far advanced that it would like blow your fucking balls off? Like, what if there's people who are like right now, they're on a moon, one of the many moons rotating around Jupiter as we speak, and for some reason there's like some sort of artifact or perhaps even like minerals and stuff that they're trying to get from there and then like teleport back. Or, you know, just like go into cryostasis and then bring it back with them. But then I always thought it'd be interesting to like die on some distant moon or distant asteroid where like nobody even knows that you're supposed to even be there, and then that's just like where your final grave would be, and nobody would be any of the wiser. Have I heard Ted the Caver? I think I have. I know what it is, but like I don't think I've like fully listened through it. Really like season 1. Oh, that's right. They made a show of Chucky. I forgot about that. Sucked into a small hole. Oh, that's true. That one, like those divers who got like sucked into that sort of sump pump or whatever it was that was really big. And then they were like all fucked up there. The one dude like was able to wiggle his way to the top, scream for help, and then the company decided not to like, you know, save them or whatever. See, those are the kind of things that I wish like all those like protesters would like divert their energy to as well, because I feel like that's something that needs to catch on in a viral sense, is those like people that could have been saved, but then a company decided that like financially it'd be better not to. You should do dark screens for us to use to fall asleep. Sometimes it makes it creepier and easier to fall asleep without it flashing. Yeah, like what, like the current thing is flat? Like, is that too bright or too, like, hard to fall asleep to? Or do you mean just, like, straight up black screen? Have you ever had a crazy ex? Not really. All my exes have been pretty nice people. All my exes are from Texas. Her husband charged up behind her, a baseball bat in his hands, and he was about to start beating the absolute crap out of me when he saw the bindings on my wrists and stopped. I'll never forget the look on his face, the way his eyes went all wide when he realized what he was looking at. After he froze, he just muttered, "Jesus Christ," and then ran back inside to grab something I could cover myself up with. They brought me a blanket, made me a cup of tea, and then let me take a nice long shower while they called the police. The hot water stung my wrists and my ankles and the soles of my feet, and I just stood there, shaking, watching blood and dirt swirl down that drain and just wincing from the pain as I washed myself. And just before the police got there, that nice couple. Or yeah, I guess you could turn the brightness down too. Or turn the phone, yeah, flip the phone over. Yeah. It'd be kind of nice if on YouTube channels, like whenever someone like, I don't know, gets YouTube Premium, where you can like close your phone and listen to stuff, if it like gave you a discount on becoming a member elsewhere, or if you became a member, you get pretty much YouTube Premium, but specifically for just that channel, in the sense of listening to their stuff with your phone closed. That'd be a nice little change they could implement, but I guess they want to maximize shit as much as possible. But, giving your giving your people a discount from time to time does make them happy. Did you find the diver skeleton background? I can definitely look for it. It's probably in the same folder, just buried in there. You finessed a way to lock your screen without having premium. Oh shoot, how do you do it? Tell us your secrets. Let you have a bonus subscription each month like Twitch Prime. That would be cool. Something like that. Oh yeah, some sort of benefit, where they... I don't know, I think like honestly the more that you can please your audience, the longer they'll stay with you, as far as like a big company like you, Google and all that goes. How can you send me fan art? You can just tag me in it whenever you make it on your socials or whatever. You like the little background of the skinwalker, or whatever you should name it. We can call her Wendy. That's a girl. If you don't use social media, oh yeah, you can just send it to let's read submissions@gmail.com. Oh, you block every ad you get and they go away immediately. Oh, that's smart. Just block the ads. Oh, I gotta burp, but I can't. But there it is. Holy shit. Do I think King Spook is still alive? I don't know, dude. I do miss his voice, though. He had like a very unique, just a unique narration voice, and he was a little, out there from time to time, but, I don't know. There's a lot of mentally ill people online, so I really can't, knock them for being as such. Okay. Just before the police got there, the nice couple gave me some spare clothes to wear. It was only a baggy pair of joggers and a faded t-shirt, but it meant the world to me. And after that, I sat in their kitchen waiting for the police as the couple whispered in the next room. When the lone officer arrived, I thanked the couple for all their help, and we then walked to his patrol car, and after taking a seat in the back, I told him everything. The dinner, the van, the forest, the hooded figures. He wrote it down and then asked in a very flat tone, "How much did you have to drink tonight?" And I told him we drank 3 bottles, split pretty evenly. I was drunk, but I wasn't smashed, and I most certainly hadn't blacked out either. He didn't argue, but I could tell that he didn't buy it. They tracked down Laura and the taxi driver, but their stories didn't match. They claimed that I'd been blind drunk, demanded that they stop the taxi so I could get out to vomit, and then after doing so, I'd walked off into the dark field never to return. They had a receipt from the restaurant, timestamps and everything, and Laura's phone went dead after that. No answers, no trace of her. And then after a while, the police seemed to just give up on everything, as worthless as the UK police usually are. They said there wasn't enough evidence, that they couldn't trace this Laura girl that I'd gone on a date with. So until I remember her address or until I remembered where I'd been taken, there was simply nothing that I could do to further their investigation. The grazes on my wrist healed, but the nightmares did not. I tried to do my own research on what had happened for a while, but it took a serious toll on my mental health. I went down many, many rabbit holes pertaining to Wiccan and occult practices, but found nothing like the mass that I'd seen or the language I'd heard. I talked to some of the users even on r/conspiracy, and X even posted about it, but most people didn't believe me, and one user even called me a plant. In the end, I stopped trying to make sense of anything, and in a kind of great big circle found my way back to the heal your trauma self-help genre that Laura had so staunchly avoided. I tried reading all the books I could get my hands on, even did an online course about getting rid of the night terrors, but nothing really helped. I still see the torch every night, feel that heat and hear the chants. I haven't dated since then, and my trust issues have extended into tendrils. Wait, what? I'm a plant. I am a plant, though. I'm a neutral agent, a neutral propagandist. I want to keep everyone as chill as possible. If Google would do things to improve YouTube, maybe it'd be worth paying for. Yeah, I do believe that the people at YouTube do have good intentions for its users, and they do want it to get better. But honestly, I think because people don't complain enough, that's usually their MO for responding to stuff, is like widespread outrage. But genuinely, I don't know, going way out of their way to change things. It's like you have to get their attention sometimes, and so I would just email them or bother them on social media to let them know ideas that you have. Because if enough people just let them know about things consistently, they can have AI and shit collect all of it and come up with the most important things. YouTube's features and user face is unbeatable. Sorry. Well, that's true too. It is very good compared to all the other sites and stuff. It's definitely set the standard. What's up, Jayla? How we doing? I still see that torch every night, feel the heat, hear the chants, and I haven't dated since then, and my trust issues have extended into even the simplest of everyday interactions. Sometimes I'll be chatting with someone I don't know personally, and I'll stop and think, was it you? Were you there? Sometimes when things get really bad, I think about the person with that torch, the one who, for whatever reason, chose not to light the fire underneath me. And sometimes I feel like I owe them my life, then in the grand scheme of things, they're the best friend I'd ever had. I swing between intense gratitude and hating them with every fiber of my being, not because I wish that they'd gone through with it, but because they left me stuck here, half alive, with a story that hardly anyone believes. The UI is fine, the experience isn't. Yeah, what would you say has been your not so good experience on YouTube? I heard a cool simple video today saying happiness is a choice and you should learn that the sooner than later or something, forget exact words, but I was like, heck yeah, choose happiness. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of what our life experience is just perspective, obviously, right? That's like an old stoic idea that people have known for thousands of years. But I think a lot of the times our experience here is comparative, We're comparing ourselves to everyone around us, and that's why we kind of hyper focus on what they have and their wealth and all that kind of stuff, but we oftentimes just don't do a lot of internal self-reflection to be thankful and gratitude for what we do have. Because, at the end of the day, in life, there's really nothing at all guaranteed for you. Tomorrow's not even guaranteed. I mean, there's some kids born with cancer, or they make it to 6 years old and they're dead. It's sad, but it's a reality. So if you've been gifted this chance of life, you might as well do something in your power to make that kid who passed away at 6 years old proud, or happy. But yeah, comparison is the thief of joy, and yeah, just stay in your lane and try to, better yourself the way Laura did in the story. Join a cult, light somebody on fire. Just kidding. How about having my comments auto-perch for basic words and phrases that aren't during a tune that takes attempts? Me 10 attempts to get one to stick after subbing words. I don't know, man. There are certain words that YouTube doesn't want people to say, I guess. I mean, I know sometimes on my YouTube videos there's an area where it's like comments held for review, and it's just all a bunch of like swear words and stuff or whatever, even if they don't even mean it to be negative towards me or whatever. It's just kind of the auto filter. But I don't really know how you're going to convince YouTube that filtering out bad words is somehow going to like make anything better. Just want to let you know how much I appreciate you and your channel. I'm a therapist, and some days are pretty rough. Listening to your videos always bring me a sense of calmness after a high day. Thanks, Julie. Yeah, I guess we forget sometimes that therapists need therapy. The comment struggle is real. I was commenting on a video highlighting the NYC subway stabbings. I could not get the comment to stick until I took the word stab out. Right, yeah, I mean, it's like literally the context of the video, and you can't even talk about it. It's annoying. Which one? Let me say the British word. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're an evil person if you say bad things. Do you ever do gameplay? Once in a while. It's kind of rare. You're carrying me through uni work while listening to your videos, so when I graduate I feel like you should also get a degree. Yeah. I get my honorary. You're going to police academy, so I should also be like a police dog. Alright, so we got 3 stories tonight about bad exes. That was story 1. Story uno. Story freaking uno. I never heard comparisons, the thief of joy, just so now help me. Yeah, and it's like those little sayings, like they were written in old wisdom books or religious books like years and years and years ago in some form or another. It's like people knew what they were talking about back then, even if you don't agree with all of it. It's like sometimes good to just like have that shit tattooed inside your eyelids. Maybe not literally, but just so you know it. Confucius. Hearing the story of Elizabeth Talbot. Also, I got this like standing desk. It's like sort of in the middle of the room almost. I think I'm gonna put like curtain tracks around it, so then I can put like sound dampening curtains hanging from those tracks. I think that would create like a pretty decent like resistance against echo. Like I don't really get too much when my voice is real close here. But if I'm back here, can you hear the echo? It's kind of bad. Like at a hospital? Yeah, pretty much. That's my like thought process. I left. Wait, what happened? Did my stream shut down? Oh, okay. Maybe. What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? Kind of random, but my mom is very old school with her true crime. Born in the 60s and loves your reads, says your voice tops it. Just want to give thanks, then I'm waiting on the edited post. Oh yeah, thank you. Tell your mom I said hello. It sounds really good. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Oh wait, yeah, how do I say this last name? Talbot? Anybody familiar? Talbot. Do you work house cleaning or cleaning services for offices? Me? Are you asking me? I grew up hearing the story of Elizabeth. Man, I don't know why my throat. It's not sore, but it just feels gunked up. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, it feels very froggy. Froggy 98. I grew up hearing the story of Elizabeth Talbot, or Lizzie as everyone called her, from my grandmother, who first heard the story from her father, who was Lizzie's only son. It's a tale that's been handed down through our family for nearly 100 years now, told over kitchen tables and porch swings, and it's always had a certain kind of quiet weight to it. It isn't just a story about survival. It's about how my great-grandmother came to be and how Lizzie, a woman I never met, carved out a life for herself against odds that would have broke most others. I've pieced it together over the years, filling in the gaps with details both learned and imagined. So as I remember it, this is the tale of poor Lizzie Talbot. Back in 1899, a 22-year-old Lizzie was living just outside of Chattanooga. Froggy Fresh. It's kind of funny that they're doing that creator clash thing again with the boxing stuff. And once again, I don't recognize any of the fucking fighters. I mean, I know some of them from the first time, which is kind of funny that they're recycling the talent again, which is kind of boring. Not boring, but just why would you use the same people over again unless they really put on a show for you? But didn't they completely botch that first fucking one anyways? It just seems weird to do it again. Oh, yeah, I don't have what I had. I lost my voice twice in 2 weeks. I had throat issues for almost 3 weeks, but my voice was shot twice. I wonder why. Does your dead astronaut have a name? I don't know. Did we ever come up with it? Isn't it just me? They should recycle Sam Hyde. That'd be funny. They should just let him fight. I don't know why. Just such a everybody in that community is such a fucking stick in the mud half the time. If it's gonna bring people to your big event for charity, you might as well just entertain it. Where are mods? Wait, what is it? I'm just gonna time them out. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. You guys gotta be nice to each other. I guess we don't have any mods in here. That's kind of weird. Where's Hanny? Yeah. I guess we're good. Back in 1899, a 22-year-old Lizzie was living just outside of Chattanooga. I keep it's weird. I can see the word coming, but then I just need to hear it again. Chattanooga. Chattanooga. Can I have one of your Chattanoogas? Are you going to finish your Chattanooga? Back in 1899, a 22-year-old Lizzie was living just outside Chattanooga, Tennessee, in a small clapboard house with a tin roof that rattled whenever the wind blew too hard. That spring, she'd married Henry Higgins, a man with broad shoulders and an infectious laugh who worked at the lumber mill down by the river. They weren't wealthy by any means, but they had enough. A little garden out back, a couple of chickens, and a bed that they shared under a quilt Lizzie's mother had sewn. I picture her standing by the stove, stirring a pot of beans as Henry arrives home from work, his boots heavy on the floorboards, his clothes smelling of sawdust and sweat. And they were happy, and had a bright future of family fondness to look forward to. Then one afternoon in the summer of 1900, everything changed. Henry was at the mill, hauling logs, when a chain suddenly snapped, and a load of timber came crashing down on him. One of the beams caught him across the head, cracking his head open. His coworkers carried him to a doctor on a stretcher, blood soaking through the bandage they'd wrapped around his skull, and the doctor said he'd do everything possible but promised nothing. Lizzie sat by her husband's side for days, wiping Henry's forehead with a damp cloth while praying for him to wake up. He did eventually, but the man who opened his eyes wasn't the same one she'd married. The doctors. Mick Chattanooga. The doctors said that he'd heal, that the swelling would go down, but they didn't warn her about the rest, how the injury had cracked something deeper than bone. And at first Lizzie noticed only the subtle changes in her husband, but after a while they became terrifyingly. Very pronounced. He'd snap at her over little things, like burnt biscuits or a chair left out of place, and whenever Lizzie made him mad, Henry's hands would clench into fists and he'd pace the house like a caged dog, barking at her failures. He started drinking a lot more, and would head out to taverns or saloons until the wee small hours of the morning. Then there were the nights when he didn't come home at all. Lizzie would lie awake, listening to the crickets outside, wondering where Henry had gotten to. Then when he finally did stumble home, reeking of whiskey and cheap perfume, he'd shove her against the wall by her throat if she asked too many questions. One night, he grabbed her by the hair, then tore her head back with his eyes wild and empty, saying, "You don't own me, woman," and his breath was hot in her face. He clawed his hands. She clawed his hands. She clawed at his hands, gasping until he let go and stormed out, and that was the first time that she locked the bedroom door, her heart pounding like it was trying to escape through her rib cage. Lizzie prayed hard for things to get better and for her husband's mind to heal, but over time, he only got worse. And to his wife's horror, Henry started robbing people like regular old... And to his wife's horror, Henry started robbing folks like a regular old road agent. First, the drunk started wandering out of saloons, and then... First, the drunk staggering out of saloons, and then the shopkeepers on the edge of town as they closed up for the night. And word spread fast. Henry Higgins wasn't just a mean drunk anymore. He was downright dangerous. He'd come home with blood on his knuckles and a sack of stolen goods, laughing like it was all just some game. The townsfolk also whispered about the woman he'd been seen with, girls from the rough side of town who'd take a man's money and not ask his name. Lizzie heard it all, with each and every story cutting deeper than the last. She'd remember living with the man that she'd loved, and now she was living with a stranger, and one who terrified her. The breaking point came one dark, frigid evening in the winter of 1901. Henry came crashing through the door, his coat torn up, his face smeared with dirt. Henry came God damn it, man. Oh my God. Henry came crashing through the door, his coat torn, his face smeared with dirt. He was drunk. He'd been in a fight and he was foaming at the mouth with anger. "Where's the goddamn supper, woman?" he bellowed, kicking over a chair. Lizzie tried to calm him down, but at the mere inference that her husband might be the cause of his own troubles, he lunged at her. Henry grabbed Lizzie by the hair, then slammed her head against the wall. Pain exploded behind her eyes before she crumpled on the floor. Pain exploded behind her eyes before she crumpled to the floor. She looked up to see that Henry was towering over her, his heavy boots just inches from her face, and for a moment, she thought that he was going to kill her. He didn't. Henry simply spat on the floor next to his bleeding wife, and then slammed the door shut on his way out of the room. Lizzie said that she'd lay there, tasting blood, and realized that she had to run. She didn't have much, just a few dresses, a shawl, and a handful of coins that she'd hidden in a tin under the bed. Then she waited until dawn, when Henry would be passed out somewhere, and then slipped out of the back of the house. She walked until her feet were blistered and bleeding, hitching rides on wagons and begging for scraps from strangers. She didn't care where she was going, it just needed to be far away from Henry. Weeks later, half-starved and shivering, she stumbled into Haw River, North Carolina. This is a family tale. I guess he's the crazy ex. I don't really know. Also, the last video, I mean, I know like wilderness stories in and of themselves are like a popular topic, etc. But like if you look at the thumbnail, 5 true wilderness horror stories that will keep you out of the woods, and it's like, it's kind of a good thumbnail where it looks like a vintage sort of photograph, text, "They were hunted" with like arrow. So it kind of coincides with like the first story that was in that video. I'm trying to think, like, maybe I should have done like some, or like I gotta figure out some way to like incorporate that first story into the title in some way, maybe. I'm just not really sure how, or like how to title it, but like also still letting people know that it's about exes or whatever. You like the Shrek one? Yeah, that's Shrek. I was trying to be funny with that Shrek one. I'm glad though that Robin's one out there, because it's more, I guess, professional maybe? I don't know. Even though they all were like ranked at like 33%. It's weird how it chooses it. Darkness Prevailed does it. I did see that actually on his channel, but it doesn't seem like it really makes too much difference. I don't know what the fuck makes a difference on like a channel's views anymore. Seems like it's all like momentum based, but you also gotta have everything line up pretty well. I don't know. Maybe we can think of something. Pretty hidden in every thumbnail. That would be good. Just curled up in a ball somewhere. You have to find them. Weeks later, half-starved and shivering, she stumbled into Haw River, North Carolina, a quiet little town with a river running through it, and oh no, dude, my voice is like actually going. It's so fucking annoying. Change up my font. Oh, for like the thumbnail text. Weeks later, half-starved and shivering, she stumbled into Haw River, North Carolina, a quiet little town with a river running through it and a church up on a nearby hill. And that's where she met Benjamin Heckler. Ben was the pastor at the church, a man in his 30s with kind eyes and a voice that carried when he preached. He found Lizzie slumped on the steps one Sunday morning, her dress filthy, her hands trembling. He didn't ask any questions. He just brought her inside, gave her a blanket, and set a bowl of soup in front of her. She told him her story over time, in bits and pieces, and he listened without judgment. He let her stay in a spare room at the parsonage, and... what's how you say it? Parsonage? That is correct. Thank you. Purple underwear synthwave aesthetic. That's true. That'd be good. We need that. He let her stay in a spare room at the parsonage, and before long, she was helping him with mending hymnals and sweeping the floors. They grew close, closer than they meant to, and for a while, both tried to ignore what was growing between them. But Lizzie was still married, and Benjamin wouldn't cross that line. "I can't be that man," he once told her, and his voice was firm but soft. And she understood, even if hurt, so she waited, and she fought. She wrote letters to lawyers, secured affidavits from folks back in Chatta. God damn it. No booing in chat, you're gonna scare me. She wrote letters to lawyers, secured affidavits from folks back in Chattanooga. She wrote letters to lawyers, secured affidavits from folks back in... Dude, why is that hard to say? Chattanooga. She wrote letters to lawyers, secured affidavits from folks back in Chattanooga. That's a weird word, dude. She wrote letters to lawyers, secured affidavits from folks back in Chattanooga. I don't know why, mixing those words together just doesn't work in my brain. It's my kryptonite, yeah, Chattanooga. She wrote letters to lawyers, secured affidavits from folks back in Chattanooga, and tracked down witnesses who swore Henry had beaten her and betrayed her vows. It took years, but finally, in the early spring of 1902, a judge finally granted Lizzie an annulment, declaring her marriage to Henry null and void, and she was free. That summer, Lizzie and Benjamin married in the church where they'd first met. It was a small wedding, just a few townsfolk, a wooden cross on the wall, and vows that meant... Dude, fuck me, I cannot find a fucking stupid-ass flow, ever anymore. I used to, go for, days. I would read for days. I think I set the world record for most readings in a row. And now I just can't find it. I just, cannot find the even flow. I've lost my mojo. That summer, Lizzie and Benjamin married in the church where they'd first met. It was a small wedding, just a few townsfolk, a wooden cross on the wall, and vows that they meant with every word. Then a year later, in 1903, she gave birth to a boy named Samuel. He was a quiet baby with his father's dark hair and his mother's bright blue eyes, and for a while, life was good. They had a little house near the river with a porch where Lizzie would sit and watch Samuel play in the yard. Benjamin would come home from the church, kiss her forehead, and they'd eat supper together. It was their own little slice of heaven. But then, in the fall of 1905, disaster struck. I picture Lizzie in the kitchen when she heard the horses, the sound of hooves pounding the dirt growing louder and louder until it stopped right outside her home. She wiped her hands on her apron and stepped towards the window to pull back the curtains. There were 6 men, maybe 7, all on horseback, their faces shadowed by the wide brims on their hats. One of them swung down from his horse, his boots hitting the ground, and then Lizzie heard his voice, rough and familiar like a knife dragged across stone. "Lizzie, you in there, woman?" At the sound of her name, her stomach dropped. She'd never forgotten that voice, the way it would turn from a laugh to a growl and a heartbeat. It was her ex-husband, Henry Higgins. Lizzie backed away from the window, her hands shaking so bad that she knocked a plate off the table. It shattered on the floor, and little Samuel started crying in the next room. The men outside laughed, and Henry shouted again, "Come out, woman. I've been looking for you." The door rattled as someone pounded on it, and Lizzie froze. She could hear the clink of spurs, the creak of leather, the low mutter of the posse. They weren't here to talk. They were here to take her, or worse. Her mind raced back to Chattanooga, to the nights that she'd cowered under Henry's fists, and now he was here, with men who'd shoot first. Voiced Viagra, that would be nice. Oh, there she blows. Old babes. There was no one modding earlier, which is kind of funny. I can't stop eating peanut butter. Is it a condition? A deficiency? Yeah, you're low on peanuts. You're low on pea. You're low on nuts. You're low on both combined together. Fuck. Her mind raced back to Chattanooga, to the nights that she'd cowered under Henry's fists, and now he was here, with men who'd shoot first and ask questions later. The walls seemed to close in, and her chest tightened until she could barely breathe, and then suddenly, her current husband burst into the room. Benjamin's face was pale but determined. He grabbed a shotgun from the corner, and one that he kept for hunting. God damn it. Benjamin's face was pale but determined. He grabbed a shotgun from the corner, the one he kept for hunting, and took cover near a window. "Lizzie," he said, his voice low and urgent, "take Samuel, and when I say, you run out the back." She started to argue but cut her off. "Wait till you hear the shot. They'll be distracted. Then run, and don't look back." Lizzie nodded, tears stinging her eyes, and scooped Samuel from his crib. The boy whimpered, clutching her neck, and then she crept to the back door to wait for her husband's signal. Benjamin shouldered his shotgun, parting the curtains just enough to aim, while outside, Henry was pacing, his shadow long and jagged and Benjamin shouldered his shotgun, parting the curtains just enough to aim while outside, Henry was pacing. "You can't hide forever, Lizzie." He fired a pistol in the air, the cracks splitting the night. Benjamin looked at her, his eyes steady despite the fear in them. "I love you, Lizzie," he said, and then after that, he pulled the trigger. The shotgun roared, the glass shattered, and Henry Higgins fell down dead. The posse yelled, guns firing wildly, while Lizzie bolted out the back. She ran as fast as she could, hearing baby bouncing in her arms as her baby, hearing baby. She ran as fast as she could, her baby bouncing in her arms as her bare feet pounded against the cold ground, and she didn't stop to see if Benjamin was alive. She couldn't. There was no time. She just kept going through the trees, down to the river, until the sounds of gunfire behind her faded. With nothing but her son and the clothes on her back, she made her way north, traveling by foot and kindness. Foot and kindness? Oh, yeah. Is this a real person? With nothing but her son and the clothes on her back, she made her way north, traveling by foot and kindness until she reached Richmond, Virginia. It was a much bigger burb than Raw. God damn it. It was a much bigger burb. What does that even fucking mean? A much bigger burb than... What's up, Sage? It was a much bigger burb than Haw River, a city she and her boy could disappear in. She found work sewing in a factory, rented a tiny room above a bakery, and made damn sure her young son got his education. Samuel grew up there, a boy who never knew his father but carried that same quiet strength. Lizzie raised him alone, telling him stories of Benjamin's courage and how he'd saved both of their lives. Elizabeth Talbot ended up passing away peacefully in her sleep during the year 1940. Samuel was a man by then, with a family of his own, and when she was ready, they passed the story down to my grandmother, who told it to me when I was a kid, sitting up on her lap. It's been almost 100 years since that night in Haw River, and all those involved have long since passed. But the story of Lizzie's fear, Benjamin's sacrifice, and the life they built before it all fell apart will live forever. I think about her sometimes, running through the dark with my great-grandfather in her arms, and I wonder where she found the will to keep going. Maybe it was a love, or maybe it was just stubbornness. Either way, that's why I'm sitting here now, typing this out, and keeping her story alive for another generation. What's up, Alec? Yeah, just recording the stories for tomorrow's video. Thanks for joining. Oh shit though, we're on the last story of the Schmeevening. How long is this one gonna be? Approximately. It's kind of crazy. I hover over Forvo, and just like hovering over it within, what's it called, Google Chrome shows me the memory usage on the page is 1.3 gigabytes. But then YouTube is 285 megabytes. It's interesting. Alright, dudes. I am gonna go take my magnesium real quick, but I will be right back. Should I take? Yeah, I guess it's almost 2. But after I come back, I'll read the last story. So talk amongst yourselves. I'll see you in a wee bit. What the hell is that? Hello everyone, welcome back. Wow wow woo. How often do you do this? I stream every Sunday and Wednesday night, which is the night before video uploads, which are Monday and Thursday during the week. But then there's new podcasts every Tuesday on the podcast side of things. The mag is reloaded. Do I ever burp out my nose? Might go like, because you kind of like burp into your mouth and then blow it out your nose, which is kind of sick because we're almost like whales in that sense. It's like when a whale blows out a big puff of seawater. It's sort of like us letting out like a disgusting fart of sorts. You're a scrimp. Remember when like the Olympic team lost to like the Iraqi Olympic team lost and what's his name made them drink gasoline and then shot them? What the hell was up with that? You think your players are going to get any better if they're exploded? Probably not. You got to give them some time. You guys don't remember that? Saddam Hussein? Saddam Insane, more like it. Actually, let me look it up, actually. People, they're like, please don't disparage Saddam Hussein's name. That's very rude. Did Saddam Hussein feed his soccer team gasoline and then shoot them? No. Ah, damn it. See, sometimes I just be saying stuff. Saddam Hussein did not feed his soccer team gasoline and then shoot them. However, there is a grain of truth in the broader idea that Iraq's national athletes, especially during the 1990s, were subjected to cruel and abusive treatment, mostly under the orders of Uday Hussein, Saddam Hussein's eldest son. Here's what actually happened. Uday Hussein, who was in charge of Iraq's Olympic Committee and Football Association, had a notorious reputation for torturing and punishing athletes who failed to meet expectations. Reports from athletes and human rights organizations described beatings, sometimes with cables or sticks, imprisonment in jail, sometimes in special sports prisons, forcing players to kick concrete balls or run on injured feet, verbal and psychological abuse. No credible sources or survivor testimony support the claim that the athletes were forced to drink gasoline and were executed for punishment for losing. Right. Well, No sources from survivors, of course. No one's going to talk about it. The beast looks constipated. A little bit, yeah. He's just sitting there trying to shit for hours on end. Yeah, Wendy does need some laxies. She's the poop queen. Digging around in her box. Alright, guys, we got one more story. Ollie's back. We can start now. Let us begin. Let us spray. Is this my full-time gig? Yeah. Making YouTube videos and chilling. You're doing Bible study. What are you reading about? Better not be about porn. It's evil. I met him on a dating app. His name was Ryan, and back then, I thought he was everything I'd been looking for. His profile picture showed him leaning against a motorcycle, wearing a leather jacket and a handsome smile that gave me butterflies. We matched, and within a day, he'd sent me a message. Hey, you seem cool. Coffee sometime? I was 24, working a steady job at a marketing firm, and was super tired of the flaky guys that I'd been matching with. Ryan seemed different. Our first date was at a small cafe downtown, and he showed up on time, ordered a black coffee, and asked me about my life. My job, my family dog. Consistent upload schedule. We're so good. We're so consistent with it. Didn't I stream like 2 days ago? Where's the vid? What do you mean, where's the vid? Where do you think it is, good sir? He showed up on time, ordered a black coffee, and asked me about my life, my job, my family, my dog Milo. He listened, really listened, and his dark eyes locked on mine. He told me he worked as a mechanic, loved fixing things, and had a sister that he was close... Whoops. He showed up on time, ordered a black coffee, and asked me about my life, my job, my family, my dog Milo. He listened. He really listened. And he told me he worked as a mechanic, loved fixing things, and had a sister that he was close to. All right. Have I always been an awesome reader? Yeah, I've had this voice probably since I learned how to read it too. He told me he worked as a mechanic, loved fixing things, and had a sister that he was close to. And by the end of the night, he walked in my car and kissed me. It was soft, it was quick, but it was respectful. And I drove home. God damn it, man. I cannot make it through a fucking thing. And by the end of the night, he walked me to my car and kissed me. It was soft, quick, and respectful. And I drove home grinning like an idiot. And for the first few months, he was perfect. He texted me good morning, bring me some takeout food when I was stuck late at work, and surprised me with little things. A keychain shaped of the same breed of dog Milo was, a playlist that he'd made of songs that I mentioned liking. And we'd spend weekends together, sprawled out on my couch watching movies or driving out to the coast just to walk along the beach. He'd hold my hand. His grip was firm but warm, and I just think to myself, this is it. This is what's supposed to feel like. He'd hold my hand, his grip firm but warm, and I'd think to myself, this is it. This is what it's supposed to feel like. But then, around month 6, things started to shift. It was small at first. He'd ask where I was going if I was heading out with friends, and his tone was very casual, but his eyes said a different story. Just curious, he'd say, but it didn't feel curious. It felt like he was keeping tabs. And then he started showing up unannounced. I'd be at a bar with coworkers, laughing over some drinks, and I'd look up to see him standing by the door, watching me. "Thought I'd surprise you," he said one time. And he'd have that same handsome smile, but that smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. They seemed cold. And by month 8, the possessiveness turned into something much more darker. We'd argue over nothing, like me not texting him back fast enough, and his voice would get low and tight like he was holding something back. One night I told him I needed space after he blew up because I'd gone to dinner with a male coworker. He grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to bruise it, but enough to make me freeze. "You don't get to walk away from me," he said, and I yanked my arm free and locked myself in the bathroom until he left. And the next day he sent flowers with a note that said, "I'm sorry. I just love you too much." I wanted to believe him, but the pit in my stomach told me otherwise, and I ended it at 9 months. We were at my apartment and I'd rehearsed the words all day. "Ryan, this isn't working. I'm done." And when I said it, his face went blank, like a switch flipped, and he stared at me, silent for a full minute, and then he laughed and said, "You don't mean that." And when I told him I did, he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and walked out without another word, and I locked the door behind him. My hands were shaking and hoped that that was just the end of things. It wasn't. And the text started the next day. "I miss you. You're making a mistake. We're not over." I ignored them, deleted them, blocked his number, but then he'd use a different one. I'd find notes on my car windshield saying things like "talk to me," written in his sort of jagged handwriting, and once I came home to a single rose on my doorstep and the petals were crushed like he'd been gripping it too hard, and I threw it in the trash and double-checked my locks. But then he started showing up while I was at home or at work or buying groceries. So creepy. I'm 19, the average age of a Vietnam soldier. This is true. I'm still there in Vietnam. What's my favorite horror or psychological thriller movie? Definitely The Shining. Faux show. Simone Archibald, thank you for the 5. Good day, Joel and Butter Socks. Late to the party, but I needed a reason to smile. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Simone. Good to see you. Good day to you. Any unusual recommendations? I don't know. I like The Witch. It's like the VVITH one. And it's not necessarily like wildly unusual, but it's just like sort of a nice foreboding feeling, I suppose, the whole time. And it's just interesting and mysterious. What else is good? Yeah, what else? What ones do you guys like? Strange Darling. Never heard of it. The Vivitch, not the Anya Taylor-Joy witch. Yeah, that's that one. Unless I guess you've already seen it then. I made my roommate watch The Witch for the first time a couple of years ago. It was so good. It is very good. It's just good, you know. It's one of those movies. I like movies when they like take themselves seriously, you know. And I got kind of a similar feeling when I watched the Nosferatu movie recently. I felt like for the first time in a while it was like a horror movie that just took itself seriously and it wasn't just bullshit, you know. And it seemed like the horror that existed within it actually carried a lot of weight to it, you know. I just feel like sometimes a horror movie, you get halfway through it and you've sort of just don't feel the tension anymore. Like, it just doesn't really matter outside of a dumb fucking jump scare that more or less is just like a bunch of scientists like zapping you with a little zap machine. Oh, you're not enjoying the movie anymore? Well, let me zap you real quick just so you feel that feeling. Or let me fucking shoot a gun into the air to make you flinch. You need to see the new Nosferatu and Strange Darling. Kyle Gallner is becoming the new king of horror. Interesting. I've never seen... Is Strange Darling from the same people who did Nosferatu? A new Final Destination. That would be sweet. I probably would go see that. Thoughts on Hereditary? I mean, I love Hereditary too. It's very good. I mean, I've said it before, but there's parts in that movie that, like, where I'm just like, when it happened, I was like, what the fuck? You know, kind of thing. So, it's definitely very cool. And there's a lot to, like, kind of, I guess, dig through later for sure. The follow-ups to those from Ari Aster or whatever, I was, you know, not quite as scary, but they were still good movies. Like Hereditary 2. I wish. Honestly, that would be cool if they like dug more into like the demon lore or something in some way. Oh yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses. That shit's crazy, honestly. What is the deal with that? Is Mr. Satan like, is he a human? And are those like zombies down there? The movie's been out long enough that we can talk about it, I think. Is there going to be another story? Yeah, well, I'm still reading this one. I'm just talking right now. Maybe it's because you have celeb doppelgangers from your pick, Steven Adams looking at... I don't get it. Who are you talking to? They're experiments. Oh, okay. So it's like Mr. Satan, is he... Like, what is he? Dr. Satan is an eldritch creation of pure evil with a surgical fetish. Okay. That's cool, though. I'm glad they had, like, some degree of, like, just... I kind of like that in movies when, like, things kind of just go off the rails for a little while. You know what I mean? I sort of expected that with Heretic. I thought things were supposed to go off the rails. But then it didn't, really. And I was like, that's kind of sad. Oh, thank you for finding Y-Files. Yeah, dude, Y-Files rocks. Favorite stories to read? Probably Paranormal for show. The third film brings the supernatural. Yeah, what is it? 1,000 Corpses, and then after that, I don't even remember what the ones after that are. What's my thoughts on Terrifier? I was talking about it earlier. Like, I'm not like a big Art the Clown fan, and I don't know, like seeing people get chopped up into bits or whatever, like it's, you know, it's kind of just like whatever. I feel like we've seen it a trillion billion times, and I guess maybe it's been a while since anybody's seen it within like a contemporary film, so that's why it got so much like attention. It's not a bad film by any means, but it's, I don't know. Taking Me to Court, how come? You know what sucks? The pyramid LIDAR scans. It's going to be used to discredit all the actual known crazy shit of our past. They want to pretend doesn't exist. I could go on and on, but I won't now. I'm not familiar. You might have to go on just so I can like understand what you're talking about. The blind people in The Descent were pretty creepy. Those were creepy, yeah. Just like, what, did they evolve down there? Or are they like inbred people? Like, what's the deal? I haven't seen Yellow Jackets. Unsolved Mysteries? I think I have a few episodes actually of Unsolved Mysteries on the channel. Like maybe like 3 or 4 at this point. But then, he started showing up while I was at home or at work or buying groceries. I'd spot him across the street from my office, leaning against his motorcycle, staring up at my window. And I'd see him at the grocery store, at the gym, at the park where I walked Milo, always at a distance and always watching. I'd tell him to leave me alone, but he'd just sort of smile and shake his head, walking away. After... Egyptians dug 2 kilometers into the earth and built 8 giant columns underground. Yeah, what about it? Is that what? Yeah, what? Oh. Huh. After a while, even my coworkers noticed. My boss pulled me aside one day and asked if I was okay, and I lied and said yes, but I wasn't. I stopped going out unless I had to. I started poking Damn it, man, I cannot fucking... I stopped going out unless I had to. I started parking closer to my building, keeping my keys between my fingers when I walked to my car. And then the threats came next. He called from these blocked numbers, and his voice was very low and creepy. "You think you can just toss me aside," he'd say. "You're going to regret this." And I'd hang up, but the words would just stick with me, digging into my mind. And I went to the police and filed a report, but they said that there wasn't much they could do without proof of imminent danger. And they gave me a card for a restraining order, but I knew that Ryan wouldn't care about some piece of paper. I bought pepper spray, started sleeping with a baseball bat by my bed, and told my mom about everything. She lived about an hour away, this retired nurse with no nonsense. She lived about an hour away, a retired nurse with a no-nonsense streak, and she begged me to move in with her. I said no. I wasn't going to let him chase me out of my life. And I tried to carry on as normal and as best as I could. I went to work, walked my dog, kept my head down, but the threats kept coming. But I got good at turning them out. God damn it. But the threats kept coming. Oh yeah, 13 Ghosts was really fucking crazy. I tried to carry on as normal as best I could. I went to work, I walked my dog, kept my head down, and the threats kept coming. But I got good at tuning them out and pretending that I wasn't scared. At least until that phone call that I got. It was a Tuesday, late afternoon, and I was at my desk when my phone buzzed, a number that I didn't recognize, and I answered thinking it was a client. It was Ryan. His voice was different. It was colder, like he was planning every word. "Killing you wouldn't be a punishment enough," he said. "You need to hurt, like you made me hurt. So because you took something precious away from me, I'm going to take something away from you now." And after that, the line went dead. And I'd never known fear like that. I grabbed my bag, left my desk without a word, and ran to my car. My mom, she was the only one who knew how to she gonna kill the dog? He going to kill the dog? You want me to read your eulogy? I got you, dude. Let me know when you die and I'll be there. My mom. She was the only person who knew how to... Motherfucker, why can I not get this, dude? Communion? No, what's communion about? Gobekli Tepe has been dated at like 12,000 plus years old. Even my mainstream science. To say it's the only ancient structure that old is completely foolish, for lack of a better word. I do remember hearing like something really strange where it was like there was other structures in that location, but then they were like purchased and then like covered up or something as they did further archaeology there. I don't know. It's very odd what's been going on in that area. Yeah, Heavy Metal the movie is one of my favorites. My mom. She was the only person he knew how to reach, the only one I'd ever mentioned to him. I called her as I drove. My mom. She was the only person he knew how to reach, the only one I'd ever mentioned to him. I called her as I drove like an insane person out of that parking lot. "Lock the doors," I said when she picked up. "Don't let anyone in. I'm coming." She asked what was wrong, but I couldn't explain. I just told her to stay safe. And the drive was a blur. My hands were gripped to the wheel so tight my knuckles were turning white, and I kept checking my rearview mirror, half expecting to see his motorcycle tailing me. And then when I hit her street, I saw his truck. This black, dented, unmistakable thing parked just near her driveway. I slammed on the gas, pulled in behind him, then jumped out and ran up the path, hammered on the door. My fist was pounding hard enough to rattle the frame, and I yelled at her to open up. The door swung open, and there was my mom, calm as anything, just staring at me. "What's all this noise?" she asked. I just shoved my way past her, my shoulder knocking into her, and then as I rushed into the kitchen, I saw him, Ryan, sitting at the kitchen table, his jacket slung over the chair like he belonged there, and I felt sick. "He got here a minute ago," my mom said, kind of frowning at me. "He said he was a friend of yours." "Get out," I said, my voice breaking into a shout. "Get the hell out," I screamed. He stood, very slow and deliberately raising his hands like he was innocent. "I don't know what's wrong with you," he said, all confused and... Yeah, doesn't the mom know about... Didn't she say he told the mom everything, or she told the mom everything? Maybe she doesn't know what he looks like before or something. Like, I don't know. You think they would have pictures? I fucking know. "I don't know what's wrong with you," he said, all confused and charming. "I just needed to make a call." But as he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, he turned back, looked me dead in the eye, winking. This quick flicker. What? A quick flicker, that's... Is that it? Is that what the story's gonna fucking be? Some confusing mom letterman? But as he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, he turned back, looked me dead in the eye, and winked, basically saying I could've if I wanted to. I locked the door behind him. My hands were shaking and told Mom everything, every detail that I'd spared her before. She wanted me to stay the night, but I couldn't. I needed my own space, my own fight. I just drove home, checked every room, every window, and sat with the bat across my lap until the sun came up. And the harassment didn't stop after that. He'd call, leave voicemails, sometimes threats and sometimes apologies. I'd find his truck parked down the street from my apartment, empty there, but almost like a warning. I eventually got that restraining order, kept filing reports, but it was like yelling into a void. He was always one step ahead, it felt like, just out of reach, and the police were worthless. Then one day, it all just seemed to stop. There were no calls, no notes, no sightings, and I waited for the other shoe to drop, but weeks passed, and then a month, and there was nothing. And I finally felt like I could breathe again, to sleep without that stupid bat. I was at work one afternoon scrolling through my phone on break when I saw it. A mutual friend had posted a photo. Ryan, arm around a girl I didn't recognize, smiling at some bar. She looked happy, oblivious. She reminded me of me. I stared at her face, the way her Christopher Walken got abducted by aliens. They take the family to the erase the memories. Newer one that's creepy like the dark skies. Oh, okay. Hey, Drew C. What's up, bro? Long time no see. Hitcher with Rutger Hauer. I don't think I ever saw that one, but I saw the remake. And that one was kind of whatever. Barbarian started good, went to crap real quick. Yeah, I didn't really understand. Like, Barbarian really... It's really strange. I feel like we've been getting a lot of that lately, where movies are really good at sort of convincing you that they're going to be, like, intelligent and new and different. And then it just, like, goes... I mean, I don't have a problem with, like, things going off the rails. But it has to, like, really hit, you know what I mean? It has to, like, be, like, mind-blowingly cool. Not just, like whatever the fuck Barbarian was. That one was just kind of... It went from being, like, mysterious and curious, like, interesting to just kind of... The fuck is, you know... What is this stupid shit? Smile 2. Smile 2 wasn't too bad. It kind of, like... Surprisingly, even though it followed, like, a similar premise to the previous one, it still, like... I think carried a lot of weight throughout the movie, and... Definitely makes you kind of want to check out the next one for sure. I stared at her face, the way he smiled at her, and felt sick again. I knew what he was capable of. Dude, I need to, like, pronounce my words. I knew what he was capable of, what he'd do when the mask slipped. And I thought about warning her, but how? He'd know it was me if I used my name. And my solution was to make a brand new Facebook profile, a fake name, no picture, and then look her up and message her. And her page was public, full of selfies and posts about her job at a daycare. And I typed the message fast. Be careful with Ryan. He's not who he seems. Get out while you can. And I hit send, watched it mark seen, and then logged out and deleted the account. I don't know if she listened. I don't know if she's okay, and a part of me wants to check to dig, but... And a part of me wants to check and to dig in, but I stop myself. I'm free of him, for now anyway, and I think that's enough. I still double-checked to... Man, dude, I could not make it through one paragraph tonight. It's so fucking annoying. I still double-check the locks on my doors, and I still glance over my shoulder whenever I walk to my car, because I know he's out there, and I know he doesn't forget. Women say J-name men are evil. Is that fact or fiction? Listen, if a woman says anything, you know it's a lie, so just... Why did you even bring that up? How dare you? Alright, guys. Let's read this outro and get the heck out of here. Can you guys think of something funny for me to say? Imagine posting the cursed video from The Ring on TikTok. That would be pretty good. You should do that, Fry. I feel like it's gotta already exist. Leaving so soon. It has been about 3 hours. How do you know a man is lying? Because his cheeks are flapping. Can't stop, won't stop the goon. Boinkin and Göbekli Tepe would qualify as Turkish delight. That's pretty good. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. EST. And there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember... What do we say? In the beginning there was foreplay. Dang, last story was terrible. Yeah, it was like nothing really occurred. I thought, well, I mean, him getting into a house, but it was kind of even more awkward, the fact that you thought that she already told the mom about him. So it was just kind of like, what? Why did the mom let him in? I don't know. I didn't give any memberships today. I'm sorry. Let me do that right now. Mr. Sandman, give me a membership. I want to listen to your silly bonus content. Salami is a great source of protein. I don't know about that. I feel like your body takes like a year to digest it. I did find this cool thing called muscle egg. And it's basically just like egg whites and like a big half-gallon thing, but it's got flavoring in it, and you can just drink it or put it into like stuff and mix together. It like honestly smells like what you would make cookies with. It's really fucking good and has like a shit ton of protein in just like 1 cup. Is Patreon a better spot to support you on the YouTube, or is it like equal? It just depends. Like Patreon, you'll get early access audio for just $1, and then the $5 tier is the bonus content. So like you would get access to all the audio before everyone else with both. But on YouTube, you just get the bonus content because they don't really have like the tiers. And I don't really know how you would like distribute just MP3s on YouTube. It'd be kind of like awkward. Did anybody think of something funny? Any allergy warnings in that? Yeah, eggs. So if you're allergic to those, don't eat it. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, salami is a terrible source of protein. Alright, we're gonna go with that. Boom shakalaka. Eggs in the egg whites? What the flurp? What the flippity flurp? But guys, thanks so much for chilling. Appreciate you guys hanging. We got up over 500 people today, which is crazy. And Danielle, welcome to the Buttersock Coltington. Appreciate you. You now have access to bonus content. Be sure to go binge that. And yeah, I'm gonna get this up, edited over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for the, like I said, the early access, and then we'll get it up on YouTube. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. EST, Monday, Thursday. Otherwise, I should be back this weekend sometime, probably Sunday, streaming again. Yeah, and I gotta rest the vocal cords a wee bit. They surprisingly do recover pretty fast, which is nice. But, yeah. Go follow my Instagram at letsread.official. And I think that's pretty much it. I got a Twitch up there, too, if you want to follow my Twitch, just to get notified directly to your phone. If you got that, they're better with notifications. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the flippy floppy. Love you, appreciate ya. Be good to each other. The world will not end. Goodbye.